I am your C3. I am your man.
This guy continues and continues to amaze me.
I'm the greatest wrestler in the world.
I'm pretty sure Ishii is held together by cement.
I wasn't supposed to win championships and get to the top of every company I've ever walked into, but I have.
This has to be one of the greatest matches I've ever watched in my life.
Because the Bullet Club, we rule the world.
Bubba Ray, Devon, I'm trying to figure out, what did we just see out there? What?
Shut up. What you saw... Hold on. Are you one of those guys who thought we were nostalgia act?
Not at all.
No? No, what do you think we are?
I'm just curious what
do you think we are? When it comes to the WWE, who are we in the history of this company?
You guys are legends. There's no
How many times have we been the tag team champions?
9 times.
Correct. Do you think we're a nostalgia act?
Not at all.
Do you know we're the baddest tag team on the planet? We have proven over time that the Dudley Boys will be the greatest tag team that's ever existed. And tonight just showed just why thou shall not mess with the Dudleys, because like he said, we are the baddest tag team on the planet.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Deezer.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling Max episode 183, and we are the Every Wrestling Fan Podcast, and of course, this is my time to tell you that we are brought to you by the WTM Network, and of course, in partnership with ForMania.com and Last Word on Sports.com. Gary, take it away.
All right, guys, today we got a big one for you. That's right, we're talking Fast Lane. We are going to break it down, give you our predictions, and we've got some pretty interesting ones at that. Plus, guys, we always give you some interesting news topics and quick hits. This week we're going to talk about Undertaker's opponent. We may have an update on that. Plus, you know, you had Bret Hart have surgery. We'll talk about how that went for him. Global Force Wrestling has a TV deal. Is it in the U.S. or out of the U.S.? We'll let you know that. Plus, we have a few wrestlers in the WWE leaving in the not too far future. So you guys want to definitely check out Quick Hits. Plus, we're going to get into some Monday Night Raw, NXT, TNA Impact, and of course, Lucha Underground. Also, we kind of like to talk about other things on this show, and New Japan's one of them. Plus, we always talk our Ring of Honor. So this week, we're going to have a show to talk about that's going to include both promotions, and that's called Honor Rising. So we'll get into that and get into some of the highlights from that and get you, pretty much into it if you haven't had a chance to see it, maybe make you interested in watching it. But besides that, guys, we have a full show for you, and of course, we're going to crown a Superstar of the Week at the end. So I'm looking forward to a great show this week. I hope you are too. I just want to stop off before we get into wrestling talk, though, and just say this. I don't know about you guys, but, I'm still on the Deadpool high. I know, Paul, you wouldn't got a chance to see that, but, man, I'm still singing Wham! I'm still thinking about, God, I wish this is on Blu-ray right now.
Oh, come on, Gary. You don't need an excuse to ever sing Wham! You sing it all the time.
Wake me up before you go. Yeah, you're right. So, sorry about that. But Paul, did you enjoy the movie as much as I did?
Absolutely. Me and my fellow coworkers up at the comic shop have been quoting it all week, so that's led to some awkward moments at times, but it's totally worth it.
I could only imagine. One of my favorite quotes, "Oh, there's the bad guys." Oh. I love it. So, and of course, Colossus and the X-Men stuff was great too. But we won't spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen the film yet. We just had to throw that out there since we talked about it so much last week. But, Sean, I know you've been busy as well. We've had a lot of stuff going on in our personal lives. And of course, man, you just updated your car. I mean, big time. I mean, you rehauled it.
Yeah, I had to make some adjustments to it that I didn't want to really have to make. I had to fix a blower motor so I could have air conditioner for the first time in like 6 to 8 months. I can't remember how long it's been now, and I wish I didn't, because then I found out I had to fix a brake pump that costs about the same amount of money. I could have gone without air conditioning for another amount of months so I could save money and buy other things that I needed. But hey, at least it's done, even though they told me that I got to keep the loaner car till Tuesday now because they didn't have the part come in. So, at least I get to save gas on my own car for a while.
Yeah, you know what? You say you don't need the air conditioning. My God, you live in Miami. You need some air conditioning, I'm sure.
I feel bad more for the, the kid than anything. She's she's gotten used to the whole, I tell her, okay, put the window down. We're going to do it, ghetto style. And you're just going to have to deal with that, so.
Yeah, I know how, that's definitely difficult. But, hey, now she gets to ride in style, get a little air condition, and, hey, be safe and actually have brakes that work. So
yes, exactly.
She's going to feel like a princess, I know. So that's good. I'm glad to hear that, I know it took away from some of your tax return money. I'm about to lose a lot of my tax return money before I even get it, just because there's always things that you need to get fixed, and I'm going to work on my car as well. Need new brakes myself, need to make sure I get the tires re-updated and all that. So lots of stuff always take place when you're an adult. But, and I just have to throw this out there. It is so funny. We just got through it last weekend, and we talked about Valentine's Day on last week's podcast. And what's so funny is, I thought about it, and especially after the holiday concluded, and I thought, man, what a romantic I am. I took my wife to see Deadpool, and then, of course, actually on Valentine's night, we spent it with Walking Dead. So I am just a hopeless
Y'all are just
romantic.
Progressive. That's what it is.
Yeah, I guess
Seems
so.
like you know the way to all the ladies' hearts, Gary.
Oh, you know it,
exactly.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. And other, ladies listening to like, dear God. Oh, so, but we had a good time. So anyway, enough of myself. Let's talk some wrestling. That's right. We've got a big show. We want to talk Fast Lane for sure. But before we get to that, we've got to talk about all these big news topics from this past week. So let's jump into it now. We're going to get into some quick hits.
Sorry. I'm away from my computer. That's a second.
Oh, see, that's what happens on live radio, people. Things happen, and the producer sometimes has to walk away from the board.
Hey, I was my throat was getting really dry. It's like I need something to drink.
Yeah.
Here we go. Well,
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
gotta love when the buttons don't wanna, you press play and it doesn't go.
See, technical difficulties are, a normal thing on most of these. That's okay. Let's start this thing out by talking WWE and the fact that some of their guys and the gals on the roster are considering leaving the company and probably will. We at least have 2 names right now that are on the docket to possibly leave this summer. Let's go ahead and start with Brie Bella. And the reason we're starting with Brie Bella is because after Daniel Bryan retired, we heard the stories of making babies, and to make babies, that means that she's got to be away. So it looks like her career in WWE is at least maybe over, sooner than later. Possibly this summer is when it's going to be taking place. And of course, another name we want to mention is Wade Barrett, who is actually, going to have his contract come up in June, and he's already talking about maybe just leaving the company. He wants to do bigger and better things. He feels like he's not being used correctly in the WWE. These 2 names, as insignificant they may be, and I say insignificant because of where they're at right now, both of them have actually had some success, let's say it that way, in the WWE. At this time, though, they're really not that important. What do you think about this? Do you think that these are losses, or do you feel like it's kind of time to go?
Brie, sad to say, it isn't really too giant a loss right now for the Divas division. They're building up new names, or trying to, and Brie isn't really in the picture right now. Wade, on the other hand, feels like a missed opportunity at times, but I'm sure this is WWE cutting their losses now, seeing as he can't seem to stay healthy. So,
Sean, I mean, Paul brings up a great point. Wade Barrett just can't stay healthy. And I think WBE may have made the decision for him if he didn't make it in the near future. I just feel that way because of what we've seen from him and the fact that he's had to be away for so many occasions during his career. I mean, and Brie, with Nikki being out, I think that's another thing that they probably feel kind of, hey, this is actually working out for us. We're not the ones having to cut these guys.
Yeah, I mean, Brie is one of those things that whatever she said on Total Divas is not far from the truth. I mean, they did a whole storyline for a large part of one of the seasons where she even jokes around with Nikki where, hey, we'll even try to make you have kids with Brian so you can have kids. I mean, she's been on the baby train for a while, so that doesn't surprise me at all. And that she did it without Brian having to be retired or whatever probably shows that, she knew her time is of the essence at this point. Well, she's 32. I mean, once you start getting up into those mid-30s, the risk keeps getting higher and higher for you when you have kids. So she probably needs to, she understands she has to get that going. Wade Barrett, he's interesting because obviously, a large part of his problem is that every time he was getting a push, he would get injured in one way or another. And there were times where it wasn't him being injured. They just kind of, jobbed him out and all that kind of stuff. And, I mean, every time the guy got the Intercontinental title, he either got jobbed out or he got hurt. It was just sad to watch sometimes. And, he's better than that, especially with the Bad News Barrett part where he was really starting to go somewhere and then, again, he got hurt. So I think, though, I wouldn't count out that he's totally done with wrestling because, some of these other companies are starting to make big money offers, and I think he is, if Dixie Carter comes a-knocking, I think he works very well there. I don't think he works well in ROH. I think a TNA comes knocking for Wade Barrett, offering him enough money, and he gets to work a ladder schedule and he can do other stuff. That sounds like a perfect marriage to me.
It's obvious TNA loves the Brits. They really do. And of
that's
course,
another thing. Yeah, you brought it up. I mean, he can go over there with a British contingent.
Yeah, you're right. And Paul, I mean, do you agree with that or disagree? Do you think TNA is the perfect fit, or do you think there's someplace else that really could use Wade Barrett?
I think TNA is a better fit. I wouldn't say he's not a great fit for any other company out there. I mean, we've seen Lucha Underground make people that you think have no business in their work. And, I mean, I wouldn't say he's a far cry for Ring of Honor either. He's still a great worker. The health concerns is where the problems are.
I think Dijak's one of those, like, one in a million kind of dudes. I don't know, you can have too many of them there with the size of most of the other guys they have, aside from Moose and whatever. I don't know. I think, like, for what he wants to do and all that stuff, TNA kind of works for him there. I mean, you could be right. He could go to Ring of Honor and blow the doors off everyone. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he's different enough to where he would stick out. And that's in a company like Ring of Honor where you have people with these terrific work rates who like to do all the flippies or work insane ground games, and an angry brawler I think would work well there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Wade Barrett's one of those guys that he's just a great talent. He's a great athlete, and I think at any of these promotions he could find a spot and actually be successful. But we keep going back to TNA. I just think that they're closer to WWE than, of course, Lucha Underground for sure, but even Ring of Honor. And I think that's what his goal would be, to show WB that, hey, I can play your game and do, better than you presented me as. So.
I mean, yeah, because, also TNA has the history. I don't know if they would do it now, but TNA has the history of a WWE guy and one like Wade Barrett who has significant sort of audience. People would know him. He might go much farther in that company, much quicker.
Talking about people, maybe, joining other promotions. There's been talks out there about Titus O'Neil and his situation. We talked about it last week, with the whole controversy between him and Vince and getting suspended 90 days at first and dropped down to 60 days. And, of course, there was talks of a $5,000 fine, him, receiving that for, bad conduct, if you want to say it that way. But, there is also talk out there that, he's visiting the University of Florida, his alma mater, which he has said in the past that he would love to go and be his coach of some sort for that organization, for that school, because he was a former Florida Gator. And rumors are always, afloat when those things happen, and people are saying he's going to quit. And Batista even mentioned that he thinks he should quit after this whole thing with Vince. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I think that Titus O'Neil's a great talent. I would hate to see him go. Do you think there's any validity to these rumors?
Maybe. I don't see him. I don't know. Like, so here's the thing. If he stays with WWE, great. I don't see him getting this continually pushed as he has been recently. Even though it's been sort of small, I'm sure this affects his position and where they were going to go with him in the company. If he does leave, I don't know where he goes. Granted, he's not, like an old man or anything, but, I don't know how many of these other companies are going to come calling for him either.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Paul here. I don't know. Again, the only one that unlike Barrett, I think the only one that would maybe come calling for him is TNA. I don't know. The thing is with Titus O'Neil, that dude is too good. If he wants to take Batista's advice, he is really he has so many avenues open for him. He's done so much charity work. He could be a spokesman for something like that. He could be on TV. He could be on a talk show. He could go be on ESPN as one of their analysts or whatever for college sports. I mean, that guy can do so many things. That if I'm Titus O'Neil and I don't want to deal with this, and maybe this is the thing is with Titus O'Neil, well, there's so much we don't know. We don't know if he was talked to and maybe he took it the wrong way. And so Vince was like, look, I'm tired of this. This is not the first time you've had this issue where you're not professional. We're going to make an example. Supposedly there's a problem with guys not being professional in the backstage area in certain positions where they need to be, and Vince was also emotional at that point. It's so many things going on with that, We don't know if there is something more to that caused that suspension to happen. And maybe he is just accepting of it. But I just think it's going to be an on-air thing, too, where aside from the suspension, we're going to see Titus get jobbed out for a while, like what would normally happen.
Wow, and that's just a shame. It really is. I think this guy really deserves better than that. But like you're saying, Sean, that's usually the treatment. And
the weird thing is, it's Black History Month, and we got to be talking about.
Yeah. Ooh, and you hate that this happened, especially during this month. But I think it's a few things that we don't know about, and there's a few things we do, and we're trying to make it all make sense. And I don't know if we have the complete formula to make it all make sense, but it's definitely a story, and it's one we'll continue to follow.
What did you think about the Stone Cold? Great job coming out there and defending the decision, but I think Ramani Jones kind of had you at the, if you're going to say that Titus O'Neil did wrong. Don't say shucking and jiving in the same sentence. That's probably not a good idea. Just,
Ooh.
Have you heard of this, Paul?
Not at all.
Yeah, so Stone Cold went on his podcast and said that Titus O'Neil, he shouldn't have done that or whatever, and that he thought that it was unprofessional and that he only should have got 30 days, and 60 days was a bit much, for going out there, but he shouldn't have been out there shucking and jiving. And I'm just kind of like, oh, well, I guess
a forward choice.
Stone Cold probably doesn't understand that you can't say that. Just...
Yeah. Stone Cold's been away for a little while, and I think he possibly just let some slip he would like to take back.
Also, I hate making this because it's obviously the dude is not ignorant. I just think that it's kind of one of those things you say, and maybe you said like back in the day, and you maybe didn't say it in any kind of racial tense at all. You just said it, because shucking and jiving is also dancing. White people can do that. I mean, it's not, but it's normally associated with whatever it is. So that's why Monty Jones took it that way, and I don't blame him for taking it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't either. And it's like I said, it's a poor choice of words, and it's something that you definitely want to stay away from. But I just think the whole thing's a sad situation. I really don't think it all boiled down to race. I get it where it comes into play, and I definitely understand. But I think this really it has to do with Vince and the way Vince is. His masculinity was kind of taken aback right there, and he didn't like that. So he punished Titus O'Neil to the full force of the book that he could. So. But, moving away from that, though, because we've kind of talked about that last week, so we're kind of giving it more time than we probably should. Let's go ahead and talk about something else that's very interesting. And, we keep talking about people leaving WWE. Let's talk about somebody that, maybe could join WWE in the near future. Cedric Alexander actually had a WWE tryout recently. Now, that is a name that's kind of interesting. We've seen a lot of him in Ring of Honor, seen him, and everything that he has to offer. How would you feel about seeing this happen and seeing Cedric Alexander possibly joining at WWE?
I'm fine with it. He's a great talent. With as many talents as WWE has been signing recently, I don't know what exactly he brings differently to the table. Unless they're looking for a more long-term project, which I think Cedric would be for the WWE. He's still young. He's still sort of finding his way. The tools are there. It just needs time to develop them. And if that's what they're after, then great. But when you have all these other guys that you keep seeing the WWE sign, I don't know how much variety he's going to bring to the table.
Does he fit that weight limit that magical weight limit they're trying to look for right now?
I haven't even heard a weight limit for the Global Cruiserweight show yet.
It's 205 for the Global Cruiserweight show.
I don't know if he fits that or not.
But he's not the tallest guy in the world. You can make somebody look that weight too. So he could be one of those guys they could have been looking at for that, and maybe you kind of. I don't think that either him or Tony Nese, which were the two guys that were kind of big that were there, are like imminent signings at all. They could be just they wanted to get a look at him, and maybe we see him later. But
he's built at 209.
Yeah, so he's not too far from there.
Yeah, just do a little bit of the Christian workouts, and
if he's built at that, he's probably a little bit actually less than that.
He's probably less. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Well, then we've settled. There you go. And you're right, Sean. I think you saying that they're just getting looks at some of these guys to kind of see if they would fit the bill, and see if they would be a part of that show coming up. And yes, the Global Cruiserweight show is official. And it is going to be this coming summer, and that is going to be exciting. We kind of talked about this last week, but now that it's official, you're getting more information about it. And, of course, we do know it's going to be a tournament, and you're going to have people all around the world joining this, and you're going to get a chance to see talents you never probably thought you'd ever see step into a WWE ring. I like this. I like this a lot. Paul, it kind of reminds me kind of what Ring of Honor does and what they're actually doing right now on their TV. As you watch their TV tapes, they have round one of their tournament that they have for young talents or talents just to maybe possibly get a Ring of Honor contract. I like this for WB because WB could also add some talent. I think this is great, though. It's official, and it's kind of nice to see WB kind of step out of that box of everybody has to be ours. You get a chance to see talents that may only wrestle once on their show.
I think this is it's going to be a fun show. No matter who they get for this, whether it's some NXT talent, some others, or if it's just all outside talent, it's going to be a fun time. So I think this works into their build of the system they're trying to create. And a lot of it, you hear them, they're talking to Evolve, they have NXT, and this show seems like another outlet to sort of give guys that they may or may not be looking at a chance to shine in front of their audience and to see what happens. And if some of these guys catch on, then maybe you see them in NXT. If they don't, then here's some money and, have some exposure, and hopefully this works out better for you, and we'll take another look at you down the road.
Yeah, I mean that's what we've seen with NXT, right? Some of these, especially lately, it's been more the women. Them getting this, Deanna Purrazzo got to show up on, what was TNA, ROH, and NXT all in the same week or whatever. I mean, how amazing is that for her? Just some of these, we've seen them be shown once, and we don't see them again. I mean, but they got that exposure of getting to be on NXT. I mean, we haven't seen Blue Pants in a while, but look at what that did for her. I'm sure she gets to ask for more money on the indies now because she was on NXT for a while. I mean, so I think at the end of the day, this really helps out talents to be able to say, look, I was in the Cruiserweight tournament. You can go check me out on the network right now if you want. I think the fact that Triple H is saying he wants to make it more outside talent than inside talent is a good thing because you know what you got. I mean, I think definitely you're going to see La Sombra. I think definitely you're seeing, or Manny Andrade. Rich Swann, Biff Busick, who's now called Chris Gerard. You'll see them. I think Zack Saber's coming. Definitely, he's going to be one of the shining stars of this thing. I think that's definitely one of the guys we're seeing. I mean, he named Rev Pro and Progress in these interviews, so he's going to be looking. I mean, I think that's definitely because that's where William Regal's probably looking. But he said Japan, Mexico, other places. So this is going to be interesting. Where exactly they look, who they bring in, how far-reaching it is. So, and the thing is, we have more availability to watch video from so many different places now that it's gonna be. He definitely could make it a whole world-reaching thing because you can go on YouTube right now and watch DDT's DNA thing for free. I mean, you can, which is their NXT sort of. You can, through other channels, you can watch other Japanese stuff. Progress has their own. Progress and Rev Pro both have their own subscription services. So, he don't even have to leave the comfort of his own house to watch some of these guys.
Wow, so that's great. And, technology is definitely making, it easier for you to find different wrestling, find different promotions that you really enjoy, and that's the plus side here. And I think, like you said, Triple H has a great vision here, I think, for this, and it's going to reach a lot of people around the world, and it's going to help wrestlers. Since the territory system was broken down and taken away, wrestlers were very limited now, and, this kind of stuff, to me, it just gives them that opportunity to kind of not be in a territory per se, but at least, have the perception, get their face out there, and get a worldwide, look at, some of these great guys that are in the ring. So,
anybody worried though that this could maybe negatively impact them as far as going farther from NXT? Because at least for Vince, once you're named a cruiserweight, a lot of times you can't get out of that.
I don't know how much of a say Vince is going to have in this, and that's probably for the best. I think what they're trying to appeal to the same audience that watches NXT. If you watch NXT, there's a faster pace in those matches than you get on the main roster.
I mean, it's going to come on right after NXT. So
yeah, I mean, and that's your appeal right there. It's an NXT sort of show, and I would assume Vince is going to be very hands off. And if the guy does well, you see him in NXT. If he does well in NXT, maybe you see him in the main roster. But I don't foresee the labeling being the problem.
I just don't want to see, I don't think Finn Balor or Sami Zayn need to be in this at all. I think you need to keep it to your, fringe NXT people. If you want to bring Kalisto down, maybe bring Kalisto down, but, I just don't want to see prominent NXT people that you're trying to get into the main roster beyond this too, because you're trying to get them away from that distinction, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
I'm right there with you. I think, you don't want to put some of your regular NXT stars on this because it, to me, doesn't help anything. It needs to be a separate entity. It really, really does. And sure, you can use the fringe NXT stars like you were talking about, people we haven't seen on TV yet. I think that's fine. That works out in favor of WB in dual spots, So I don't know about you, Paul. I agree. I don't want to see NXT stars on this show.
Established guys should not be on here. Like Kalisto, no. If you're on the main roster, don't even think about the show. If you're on NXT television weekly, you shouldn't be on this show. Guys like a Rich Swann, maybe, who are signed but still haven't really made a full debut on NXT TV. I know he's been squashed on there, but there's no character there. There's nothing going for him there. You put him on this, that's fine.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Definitely. We're talking about, shows. Let's talk about the fact that AAA had a show was planned to come out, and now it is not going to be available in the U.S. And Sean, I mean, you were telling me about this, and this is interesting. There's some things going on at AAA.
Well, it's because AAA has an exclusive agreement with Lucha Underground. It's the only AAA show that can be shown in the United States. So that's why that's going on, and so but it doesn't prohibit them from marketing it to England or Scotland or whatever, so they can definitely send it over there and go, okay, well, you guys are much more global and knowledgeable about wrestling. Let's hope to see if this catches on, because, AAA is not doing well money-wise. They're not doing well and hardly almost anything right now with the, there's way too many things going on with that company. So if they can get this going, maybe it can help them. But even Lucha Underground's losing money. So no matter what that producer will tell you, you cannot possibly make a $40,000 an episode show and then say that you're not losing money. Especially when your ratings are just now starting to go somewhere. I can't. He's not going to go on Twitter and go, yeah, guys, we're losing money. Who's going to say that? Mm-hmm. Nobody. Not even, look, when Vince gets asked a question about ratings, that's why he deflects, because he's not going to sit there and go, oh yeah, we're totally happy with our declining ratings, by the way. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, you're right about that. And, they try to hide it, and they, for, good reason, try to hide it. But at the same point, I mean, you can definitely tell that, when the parent company is suffering, then it's got to go down. The trickle effect has to happen somewhere. And so.
But I think that's on, part of it's on Robert Rodriguez for not. It seems like they kind of just stopped trying to get more clearances for El Rey on other places, on other on other cable networks that don't even have El Rey. It's like, why are you guys not doing what this. I mean, obviously, Pop TV has CBS behind them, which is a bigger deal. I mean, that's a huge company, but like you see TNA trying to go out there and get more clearances. You see Sinclair going. I mean, these are big companies, but I mean, Rodriguez and Burnett both have money. If they really go out there and if you're willing to spend this much money for the show, why are you not going out there and making sure that this channel can be seen by everybody, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Go ahead, Paul.
I don't have an answer. Essentially, was all I was going to say, because I mean, it's a much smaller entity. It's a entity that is spearheaded by a big name, and just Robert Rodriguez, and I'm sure money plays a part in growth, and whether they have a ton of it to spare or not is the big question.
Yeah, we don't know all the financials. We don't know everything behind the scenes, but I mean, it just seems like, they really need to try to market it better and try to get it out there. I think they do the best they can, but at the same point, we talked about this over and over again. Let's say they do market it out there and someone else, a Fox, NBC or somebody decides, hey, this is worthy of our time. Let's put this somewhere. Let's put this on one of our networks, or let's put this on FXX, or let's just take that in consideration. Really, that's great, but are they going to be told they can't do certain things? Are they going to take away what Lucha Underground is? And that's the scary part. You don't want to see that happen. You would almost rather them not be big, and if they're not big, that means they're still in the situation we're talking about, not really making money. So,
well, the good thing is that their ratings have been going up. So
yeah. You never know. I mean, there could be a situation where they're allowed to do what they're doing on regular TV. Just don't know. I mean, Spike TV, to me, it'd be fine. They probably would allow them to, as long as the ratings are there. But anyway, there's a couple more things before we jump into some rapid hits. One thing that I definitely want to talk about is the Undertaker, and once again, same story. We'll have the same story until we actually find out who is his opponent going to be at WrestleMania 32. We all want to know. We're all going to be there. We're all going to be curious to see what's going to happen with the Undertaker. We're getting some word now, a little bit of update, that possibly the opponent that he'll have at WrestleMania 32 will not even possibly be on this roster at the moment. That brings up questions of who it could be. If there's somebody not on this roster going to be facing Undertaker, I mean, your choices are kind of limited. Goldberg has been a name thrown out there. I mean, despite that Sting is a Hall of Famer, I mean, he's still
I think
there.
I'm kind of gonna agree with some of the people in the group. If it's Goldberg, I think I'm gonna go watch a bunch of old TNA for a while. I just have no interest in seeing a Goldberg versus Undertaker match. Just do not care. I think I'd much rather see old ass Sting against Undertaker at this point.
What do you think, Paul?
I mean, it's got to be Finn, right? That's the only other person I could think of that really jumps in there that maybe people would want to see. I'd be okay with Styles too, to be honest. Just
what do you think about maybe WWE doesn't know what the hell to do with how do we make this guy big right off the bat? Maybe you have Nakamura against Taker?
I mean, I'm okay with anybody. I know Taker wants to work with somebody who he feels like he can have a great match with. And there are a lot of candidates out there. The problem is making it feel big enough at this moment in time. That's the biggest issue, because you got to try to sell people on this if you're trying to fill up that arena still.
It's true, and that's the problem. I mean, you say that, but then your choices are so limited, and some of the choices that are there don't even really have that luster that's going to fill up that entire stadium. It's a interesting thing that they're seeing someone not on the roster, but the limitations there are so big. I don't even want to see Goldberg face Undertaker. I'm a big Goldberg fan, have been, just because of nostalgia, but I think Goldberg coming back is fine, but he needs to face Ryback. Besides that, I mean, don't really care if Goldberg comes back or not. But yeah, Finn Balor to
Poor
me.
Ryback, he's just gonna get buried.
I'm just saying. But Finn Balor to me is a perfect choice in a way, but then again, not. I think it's a little early still. I just don't know. But then again, how early is too early with Undertaker being so old? So I don't know. It's a really interesting question here, and I can't think of anybody. Can you guys think of anybody else that is not on the WWE roster that really could come in and do this?
Not anybody that really says you have to buy a ticket to see this match live.
True, and yeah, it's just difficult. It really is. I mean, Eugene's busy with his own promotion. Let's see who else. Somebody else. I was joking about Eugene anyway. But somebody else out there that could possibly do it. It's just really not there in my thought process. I just can't think of anybody else. We'll have to see how it updates. But it's just an interesting question. But one more thing before we jump into some rapid hits. The Dallas Comic-Con had Stardust and Stephen Amell, and Paul, you were there, right?
I was absolutely there. I was in the back row for the Q&A, which is the front row from where Stardust kicked the door open, essentially. And he was there to deliver Amell's Slammy, which they're both going to sign and put up on auction for charity, which is very cool. But they also had some smack talk going on, and eventually Stardust brings up that he only lost in a tag match, not a one-on-one match. To which Amell replies that I'd be happy to face you again. So WWE camera was there. It was all over Facebook. I'm pretty sure this is a match for Mania.
Which I don't have a problem with. That's good. I mean, I'm glad that Amell did enough for them that they feel like, who knows if they have all their matches booked, if, maybe they are a little bit in desperation mode, but good for Amell. I mean, I'm glad that he can be out there and doing something for them and getting, and it's WrestleMania, it's a bigger deal. Who knows who he can get to tune in and pay attention, at least for that one match,
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great too. I mean, it's something that's going to give some star power. And of course, there could be other things happening at WrestleMania that we don't foresee that could be really exciting. It's the biggest stage in wrestling, and we may even see the Flash show up. You never know. So, well, guys, it's what?
I mean, he could show up,
as long as Supergirl doesn't show up, I think we're okay. Yeah. Apparently, those shows are all intermingling. I'm hearing, and that's terrifying. But anyway,
DC. What else do they have to do?
That's true. Very true. But I think that's great, Paul, that you got a chance to see that up close and personal. And how was the feel in the room when that whole thing went down? Were people pretty excited?
A much louder pop than I ever would have expected. Great. I mean, there's maybe 1,000 people in there, if that. But I mean, there's still a whole ton of noise and a lot of Stardust, Stephen Amell t-shirts that they made for their match at SummerSlam last year, which was cool. So he's got recognition even amongst the I would say plenty of casuals and maybe people who just have no idea what wrestling is.
That's true. They just saw some weirdo who just showed up, huh? Who's this crazy guy? He just showed up in a costume. That's pretty awesome, though. That's really neat, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens at WrestleMania 32 and, of course, the build to that. So, let's jump into some rapid hits, guys. We got quite a few here, so let's go ahead and get into them hard and heavy. Let's talk about the Divas. There's apparently going to be 2 Divas matches part of this WrestleMania this year. One's a title match, one's not. I mean, is this good news for the Divas?
Certainly. I was expecting another multi-woman cluster, but if we're spreading out the cluster, then hopefully it'll give us something to get attached to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can go wrong with this. I'll be happy to see a triple threat at Mania with Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte, and then you get a whatever it is. Preferably they just have it on as the second match on the pre-show or something, since that pre-show is like 2 hours, so they'll probably have 2 matches.
Becky Lynch says that there will be a main event starring the Divas one of these days at WrestleMania.
If the Divas can ever sell out a building, maybe. Until that happens, I doubt it.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, Vince would no longer have to be the head of WWE, and after that, yeah, you have to do it little by little. You have to see what they sell out. If they sell out a Raw or something, they sell out you have a pay-per-view, another pay-per-view with them main eventing that's not WrestleMania, then maybe you build it up well enough, you could, of course.
Global Force Wrestling has a TV deal. That's right, they do in New Zealand.
Add that to another one of their foreign deals. They have one in England as well.
Well, that's good for them. I'm glad to know they're not dead or whatever, but I still don't have any confidence in GFW at this point.
Talking about glad they're not dead, Bret Hart had successful surgery, and of course he had, we all heard about his cancer, but this is great news. What do you guys think?
Yeah, get well soon, Bret. Please, God, live. I can't take another celebrity death this year.
Yeah, I'm glad that they took care of this, it seems like, and hopefully it doesn't come back.
Jerry Lawler has been getting death threats, and it is not because, he's the king. It's because of the fact that he showed support on Twitter for Donald Trump. Thoughts?
Not a smart move by the king.
I still think people need to just, cool it with that. Just, look, man, people can't give the support for whoever they want, and you can just shut up about it. I don't think you need to give death threats to the guy. Like, one thing is to just, call him a whatever you want, but to, threaten his life over that, it's just a little... The dude's not winning. Trump just got beat in the polls this morning by whoever the hell the other guy is. I don't even pay attention for the first time. So that's not going to be the last time if he already got beat in the polls today.
ESPN's Michelle Beadle was seen at Raw this past Monday, and of course that means that she has buried the axe with Triple H over the Floyd Mayweather situation and her disapproval of their friendship.
Man, gotta love irony, right?
I just hate it when these celebrities go do this crap. You get on a big old high horse about something, and then it's just like, well, as soon as WrestleMania comes around and I want some free tickets, how convenient. I'm just saying. She's a big wrestling fan. That doesn't just go away over something like that. Look, I understand you don't have to boycott something forever. It's well within her right to decide any moment when she wants to be done with her boycott, and that's cool and all, but just... I feel like it's kind of shady that you make a big, big deal, okay? And then you don't even come out and go, hey, you know what, I just got over it. Or just anything, give anybody anything as to why you just all of a sudden dropped it.
Yeah, I agree. I wish you would have brought out more information myself.
But, it could have also been ESPN, just... saying, hey, we don't want any backlash from this, just whatever,
One last thing on the docket, guys. Rosa Mendez had her baby, and that's right. It is a great news, I guess, for her and her family, and the fact that I don't believe that one of the producers is the baby daddy, which is, soon-to-be Hall of Famer, Michael Hayes. He's not the daddy, just to let everybody know.
Oh, Jesus, can we...
But
no, it is not him. Congrats to her. That's cool.
Yeah, new baby always calls for celebration.
True. So, Well, guys, that wraps up Quick Hits. We've had a lot of stuff to talk about, but we have more to come, and that's right. We were going to talk Fast Lane today, plus some other big things, but before we do, we're going to talk some Monday Night Raw. It's the build to Fast Lane, and there's some interesting things we got to talk about, so we'll be right back with that.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
Alright, Raw was, now that I'm not on the correct page that I'm supposed to be on, that's always nice when I'm not looking at what I'm supposed to be. Raw was live from Anaheim, and, well, they were also going up against the Grammys, so I felt like part of this was because of that, but at least they started with after the normal opening promo that they always have to start things with. They started with that IC title 5-way after Ambrose, did his whole thing with Stephanie, and Stephanie had to tell him that, well, your buddy Roman Reigns cannot get involved, or you're just going to lose the title anyway. Then we have this match, which was safely no issues with saying that's the best match on the show. But Kevin Owens comes away with the IC title. What do you think about all this, plus the whole deal with Dolph later? And basically, even though he says no, they basically announced before the show's over that there's a title match. So I guess WWE doesn't watch their own product that they put on about 30 minutes earlier. This is getting crazier by the minute, people.
It's a wacky world out there in WWE, especially now when you only have half a roster. You got a pay-per-view on the horizon. You just throw stuff out there, right? That's how you book this. Anyways. Dean, I thought looked great in the opening promo. I really loved his work throughout the entire show. The match for the Intercontinental title was tremendous. It's the most interested I've been in the first hour of Raw in a long time. I felt like everybody in that match looked great. Tyler Breeze looked good. Stardust looked great. Ziggler, of course, had his parts in there, and then of course Owens going over. I think it really does lend credence. Well, one, they want you to think Dean has a chance on Sunday, and lifting the belt off him is a good way to do that, because now you're like, well, that shoulder's empty now, and two, I'm about 98% sure now it's going to be Dean and Brock at WrestleMania.
Oh boy, I hope you're right. I hope it is. Yeah, but you know what? You bring us a great points here, Paul, and I totally agree with you. This match was a lot of fun to watch. It was a nice breath of fresh air, just an excellent start, something that we really needed on this episode of Raw, and I was thrilled to have it. And I'm completely happy with Kevin Owens walking away with the title. It makes sense for Ambrose not to have the title. This is completely on board with the direction I think that they should go. But, saying all that, you do wonder, some of the decision making when it comes to that backstage promo and the fact that they're already alluding to Ziggler's going to face Owens. So I don't know. I think WB gets ahead of themselves. I don't think the communication is always there. That's what it is. But all that matters to me is the beginning of the show was a lot of fun to watch. This is the way you start your show.
Yeah, definitely. And, they all got at least a spot where they did something. Breeze got that really cool with the beauty shot spot where everybody kind of jumped on him because they thought he was going to win there. So that was well done, for a guy that kind of hadn't been really doing a whole lot of anything. And, then Kevin Owens wins, so that kind of puts the belt back on him, and he's super excited about having it. But we got to keep on with the Ziggler and Owens, so maybe to many that is a not a totally good thing. But, yeah. So going on to other things on this show, we find out that the New Day are going to get interviewed by Edge and Christian for the Cutting Edge Peep Show, and that is why Kalisto and Del Rio has now been bumped to the pre-show and be made a 2 out of 3 falls match. Which, what do you think about that? Like, I get that it's about pumping the network and everything, but you're going to move a big match like that to the pre-show in order to have a talking segment?
I mean, at least it's a New Day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one championship for another at this point. I don't know if they're souring on Kalisto or not, but I mean, I really hope it gets time on the pre-show to do some work, because I think it could be really, really good.
Well, you want to have something on the pre-show that people care about because you want them to watch the pre-show. I don't know. It could be a good match. Don't get me wrong. Alberto Del Rio has not really done a lot for me. I don't know for anybody else. We've already seen these two guys go at it. Decent matches. I really have not been just overly thrilled with any of their matches together, though, to be honest with you. So I don't know if this is one that sells me to watch. I mean, I'd be more interested in watching if that interview was in the pre-show personally, because that would really get me to actually sit there and pay attention.
Yeah, and I think the days of, honestly, if you're trying to sell people on watching this and that you bought it on, to buy it on pay-per-view still or to buy the network, if, say, you're watching this on YouTube or whatever, I don't know. I don't think that works so much anymore, as we'll talk about in a segment that we're doing in a little bit. But just, I don't know. I'm starting to think that the network's going to hit that ceiling at one point here, and doing things like this isn't really going to move the needle that much. But it is what it is with what they want to do on that point. Speaking of the New Day, the only reason I'm bringing this up, because it doesn't matter, is the fact that Mark Henry has a rib injury now because he decided that, or I don't know what happened here, but a big ending was supposed to happen. Mark Henry rolls off, and yeah, just not good. Big E, I don't know if it's Big E couldn't hold him, or Mark Henry didn't understand how the move works, or whatever, but Big E was not happy when it was over.
It looked sloppy. It really did, and I was kind of curious to see what happened as well. I really was kind of dumbfounded at the end of that match there. I mean, you, Paul, but I was like, something's definitely wrong.
Yeah, pretty much the takeaway is somebody goofed. And with Big E looking as mad as he was, is probably Mark.
Yeah, and I feel bad. Mark Henry, just, again, another guy. He's had plenty of injuries in his career as well, so
it's not too serious, though, right? I mean, from what I'm hearing, it's a minor situation.
It's a rib injury. I mean, it's one of those that lingers. I'm sure he'll be okay. Speaking of that, we go from that match to a really good match, though. AJ Styles and The Miz do it again. I mentioned that their match on SmackDown was pretty good. I thought this one was even better, and I talked about it when they did their match on SmackDown before, but Chris Jericho, man, if you ever want to have a second job, I would gladly want you to replace JBL on commentary. He is so good on commentary. He made both The Miz and AJ sound really good. He deflected all of JBL's stupid comments about how ugly AJ was, and it's seriously, why do you have a commentator talk about how ugly somebody is on commentary? Like, are you trying to make everybody think that your show is stupid? Just, man, if I'm listening to that and I'm not a wrestling fan, I'm like, is this guy just an idiot or what? Like, I'm sorry. It takes away from the match. It really does. But I really enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, I think AJ really has shown, even though he's only worked 2 opponents, he's shown a wide variety. The Miz, of course, isn't the greatest of wrestlers, but he's very good at what he does. And I think AJ's worked very well with that. You have Jericho, on the other hand, who's older but still serviceable and quite talented still. And he's managed to blow the roof off the joint with Jericho. So, testing the waters, I feel, for something that could be big in his future. I just haven't the foggiest idea what that could be.
Yeah, this is just to me. These are a couple of guys for AJ to work with, and they are guys that have experience. They somewhat, have some chemistry with AJ, just from their short term, working with him. But I think this is good. I think that overall, I really enjoyed this match. I just thought that him and the Miz actually did pretty well. But I'm totally in agreement with you, Sean, on the whole Jericho thing. I think that he's definitely a great commentator. I don't think he would ever do it unless he stopped doing a podcast and all that. But I think that this guy just really does a great job, and it kind of does make you think about JBL in a different light at times when you have guys come and sit down at that booth and just really outperform him.
Well, it's Vince saying stuff in JBL's ear, but it's just like, God, why? It just why? That does nothing to build up your feuds at all. I don't get it. But
yeah, and I understand the spewing things out of his mouth because of it's going in his ear from Vince. But I love the fact that JBL is from Texas. I'm okay with JBL. Always loved Bradshaw. But I still think that even just straight up shoot. I just think Jericho's a better commentator.
Yeah, he is. Very, very much so. But, it is what it is. And then on SmackDown, they had Jericho and Miz go at it. That was a pretty good match. And then I think this caps it off for me. AJ kind of asked Jericho for the match on Raw. He said, no, I'll tell you on SmackDown. And, boy, didn't this show make you feel like SmackDown is the show you need to be watching. Don't watch this crap. Watch SmackDown.
I should just turn the TV off right then and wait until Thursday.
But on SmackDown, AJ beats the rematch out of him. Jericho's kind of like, I don't know. And then AJ just freaking punches him, back fists him, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, oh, so what do you think about the rematch now? And he's like, oh, so you want Jericho then? You want Jericho? All right, you're going to get Jericho. So, again, very well done. I think this is totally leading to, this is going to continue to WrestleMania. I think you're going to get Jericho heel turning completely after the loss, and these two are going again, which I don't have a problem with. I think if you try to shoehorn something for somebody else, I think you can do a whole new thing with Kevin Owens or with somebody else later. This might have bigger legs once you have Jericho do the full turn and you really let him go at it on the microphone and stuff. And now that we've seen AJ get to talk plenty of times now, they're definitely not afraid to let him talk. So it'd be interesting to see what those two do that way.
What do you think about his mic ability, Paul? I mean, just by you've heard him plenty of times, New Japan, different places. You've seen him TNA. How do you feel like he's doing in WWE?
I mean, it's more the same. It's just they're not letting him talk as much because they know that is not his strong suit. But he's developed this. A coworker of mine calls it redneck charisma, but he carries himself in such a great way in the WWE that it just sort of works. Like he doesn't have to be the best talker. The way he comes into the ring, the way he steps into the ring, like this guy means business. And they certainly let him walk that walk on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. And you're right. They limited his vocals, but that's fine. I think it's the best way to really get him over with the crowd, especially people that don't know him. So,
well, but they don't need it. I mean, the thing is, too, we have to remember that in New Japan, he was speaking a different language than the people that are recording him, so it didn't matter. what he said. I thought from when he started doing his heel run in TNA, which is basically sort of the same character that he's had all throughout, with New Japan and all that kind of stuff. That's when he kind of turned the corner on the mic work. When he was having to do the babyface mic work and stuff, it just wasn't good. And especially when he had that terrible storyline with the Claire Lynch and all that, that wasn't going to do him any favors either. So I think since then he's grown, and like Paul says, it's the way he carries himself. And he doesn't have to say a whole lot. You just know that he means business, and that he showed it to Jericho. Like, dude, if you're not going to give me what I want, I'm going to come take it. And they could have had him keep doing the sort of like pleading and begging thing that they were sort of having him do on Raw, but the fact that they kind of had him turn it up a notch, that shows like, okay, we're at least trying not to mess it up. I think it's going to be interesting for me. The biggest thing for me is if they let him do the Clash on Jericho, because we haven't seen him do it other than that one time on Curtis Axel. So I wonder if it's one of those they're only going to have him do in big matches, or maybe they saw it with Axel and they said, I don't know about you doing it again or something.
It just makes you wonder, because there have been people injured from the Styles Clash, and not saying it's all his fault. I mean, it takes two to tango, and so who's to blame? We don't know really. But what we do know is the fact that the calf pressure, or whatever you want to call it, it works, and it's okay. We've seen other guys that have kind of relied on using a submission move, and so I'm okay with that. I think saving the Styles Clash for big occasions is actually a pretty smart idea, if you ask me.
I think they know what they have on their hands with the Styles Clash, and he's only been here a month. I'm assuming they're waiting for, they know people don't watch SmackDown. They're trying to fix that, but where they're at, I think he busted out here at Fast Lane, and that sort of gets the ball rolling for that particular move.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's what you don't need to use it all the time either. It doesn't need to be this thing that you pull out against every single person. He should be able to put some people away with the calf crusher. I mean, if he's really that good, right? You should have two or three different finishers or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. Like Jericho, I've never had a problem. Of course, it's a little different. I mean, really, let's be honest, the Walls of Jericho is a little bit more iconic compared to what the calf crusher is. But at the same point, I mean, to me, you build it and it'll work just as fine. Even if AJ 70% of the time does a calf crusher, I think it could work.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where, like, remember the Lion Saw would hit people down, and then all of a sudden he'd always miss it. So it's just the way they want to do things. I mean, weird thing here. So we had two people lose matches that it was just kind of like, okay, so we had the random Heath Slater win for no reason, and then we had the Page just losing to Summer Rae for no reason. You think they're just kind of starting to maybe put some of these women in here for that multi-women's match, or are they going to have Paige go on a losing streak, or does this mean absolutely nothing, that it's just a waste of 3 minutes of a segment, or for Total Divas or something?
Summer Rae over Paige felt like Total Diva wasting time. Becky Lynch and Naomi didn't really have enough time for me to develop opinion about it, which is another problem.
I think that's sort of kind of a thing with the back and forth on. Becky had a problem with Tamina, but Sasha had to go toe to toe with Naomi on SmackDown, and then they kind of did the reverse, where Sasha put Tamina away pretty quick, and Becky put Naomi away pretty quick. So it's kind of weird. But obviously still building to that whole, like, we're as good as each other kind of thing. Sasha with the run-in, though, she didn't really run too much. Very slow walk to the ring because she had heels on.
You gotta love that, don't you? But no, you know what? To me, still psychologically, it makes sense. You know, she's kind of on her own. She's, Team Bad is kind of her new nemesis because she's from them. But also at the same point, she doesn't, supposedly really doesn't care about what Becky Lynch does or she wins. So you can't really blame her for not taking off the high heels and dashing to the ring.
I mean, she even took the earrings off, Paul. Mm-hmm. So, I
mean, if that doesn't say you mean business, I don't know what does.
Right?
Hey, when I do it, everybody knows to watch out. So, it's just the way it works out. It gets a little awkward at times. But saying that, you brought up Heath Slater, Sean, and that was another situation that, just
that third hour really felt like. Wow, we're just really killing time here, aren't we?
We're basically saying, people, what are you doing? The Grammys are on. That's what they were telling us.
Well, I have to wonder, too, if WWE is starting to feel like maybe we just don't need to put anything important on the third hour. Nobody's watching it anyway.
Let's convince USA that they're wasting our time and theirs, too.
Why not? That wouldn't be a bad decision, honestly. It's hurting the show. Everybody but USA doesn't understand that it's hurting the show. I mean, I will say that, what was I going to bring up here? Okay, so we're going to play a game of How Stupid Was This? How stupid did Sin Cara look having to hold himself up to wait for Del Rio to climb up on the top rope and then jump to do his stupid stomp?
Give it about a 9 on the stupid scale.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. God, that was dumb.
If that doesn't prove that they need to do away with that move, I don't know what does. It's just, ugh.
So, one of the worst things I've seen in years.
How stupid was the main event of Raw, lasting a whole 2 minutes?
Wait a minute, there was a main event?
That they promoted throughout the entire show. Just so you can have the Titans of WWE stand tall, guys.
So you're telling me there was a main event? All I can remember is waking up and seeing the show following Raw. So what? Basically, I fell asleep.
I don't know how a 6-man that I think a lot of the people out there could care less about is supposed to sell you on watching Fast Lane. But here it is, guys. At the end of the show, at the end of the third hour, where they probably already made you change the channel, this is what they give you. This is a hats off to WWE for maybe one of the stupidest moves I've ever seen them make in my entire life.
They should have probably ended it with this. I thought this was really good work from both guys. The Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns promo. Why not end it with that?
No,
yeah, I mean, you had Dean come out and sort of make it seem like he was going to hit Dirty Deeds. I mean, I think that's a perfect way to end the show. What's wrong with that?
I don't know how this doesn't end your show. Paul Heyman was exceptional. Roman Reigns, better than he has been in this feud, for sure, even though the crowd still couldn't give two dicks about him. But God, Dean was on it in this segment. Like Dean all over the show, 10 out of 10.
Oh, I forgot to mention, you idiots in the crowd that are chanting what at AJ Styles when he's talking. You're not helping him at all. Stupid. Just stupid. Sometimes I wish that would just go away. It's like, use it for the correct reasons. Don't just use it because you think it's funny. But this was Reigns was getting whatted here too. That was my point with all that. But Roman Reigns just still gives that like, when Roman Reigns is like chilling in his mind when he's just smirking at whatever's going on. It's just my total. I'm a goof. I'm standing here. It's just. I mean, Paul Heyman's sitting here telling you the story, just getting right to. I mean, that's what I love about Paul Heyman. Like he didn't give you all the BS or whatever. He just said, "Here is the reason why you need to watch this match at Fastlane. It's Dean Ambrose or it's Roman Reigns' family. What's more important to you?" And Roman Reigns is kind of like, he doesn't really get to the point. He dances around. He doesn't really know how to answer it sometimes. Like, "Oh, dude, you're good, man. You're good." Well, I'm sitting here trying to think of what I'm supposed to say. "Oh, okay." And then, just... I agree with Paul. He was better than he has been. It finally looked like some of the focus was on him. But, I don't know. Still not sold on Mr. Roman Reigns.
Yeah. I get that they're using him the best they can. They're trying to get him better. The only way you're going to get better is to talk, to continue to talk. I get that. And I think it's, it's wise of them to get him that experience. But at the same point, maybe he needs to get his own advocate. I don't know who it would be, but that could be a possibility. I mean, really, Hornswoggle's not doing anything. So I just don't know. But he needs his own advocate. Sorry about that. I would have said El Torito, but he's my advocate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's about time you got some representation, Gary.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming.
So, certain places, if you guess who gets the Vincent J. McMahon Legacy of Excellence Award, you get the Sunny DVD sent to you. We are not going to do that because I'm not promoting that trash on this show. But, this is the Wrestling Observer that's doing that, by the way. But, who's winning this stupid... This is Triple H, right? Like, the people... I can't believe there's people that actually go, "Oh, man, this is going to go to, like, Bret Hart or something." Like, this... Like, this has to be, like, either Vince giving it to himself or Triple H or something. It's just a storyline thing.
Clearly, the award is going to Goldust. Clearly.
For his sexual innuendo masterpiece of that segment with R-Truth.
Oof.
Just for a career full of sexual innuendo.
Sorry, I just love that. I love all over the dress. Yeah. Oof, I loved it.
Gary, I don't want to know what you think about it.
Oh yeah. Well, you picture that, but the one thing I will say is there's nothing more terrifying than Goldust in really nice looking clothes and that painted face. I mean, I don't know. If someone would have came up to my table looking like that, I'd probably pee
I don't know, Gary. Some people might think that him and his not painted face is even uglier, so...
I don't know. I've only seen that a few times. But, I don't know. It's pretty creepy. The old makeup, maybe not, but the way he does his makeup now, it is a little more terrifying. So
yeah, it's like the Darth Maul makeup almost.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, I don't know. Oh, and by the way, you said that, we're not promoting that Sunny DVD, but I want to say this, maybe the person that wins our next big, contest or something, I think they don't win that trash. They win Sunny versus China. That video will be coming to you soon.
Okay. Moving on from that. So everybody in agreement that Triple H is winning this thing?
I'm sticking with Goldust' final answer, Sean.
Okay.
Triple H will probably win. Yes, I'll say it.
Watch it be Stephanie. Just the highest honor a female has ever had in the company. Stephanie getting this award or something.
Don't be surprised if it happens. I mean, Good Morning America would love to have her back.
I mean, that award looked pretty nifty for a thing they just made up in the week. Just gotta say that.
That's true.
But, this is another one of these Raws where there's a lot of, just blah. But there was a good 2 hours in there, so Where do you want to rate it?
6.5.
Ooh, you're being sweet. I'm giving it a 5. Sure there was some good stuff throughout the 2 hours, but there was only 3 points of this show that I actually cared about, and that's just to be honest with you guys. The IC title match, then of course the AJ. Enjoyed that whole AJ and Miz match, and of course, really honestly, our Truth and Goldust. Besides that, I could have those if I would have been able to watch those 3 things and nothing else on this show, I would have been completely happy.
Well, I'm going to go with the 6.5 that Paul gave it. I think a lot of it was good build to what you want to do. Of course, obviously, a lot of the other build was done on SmackDown, which, they're trying to make it a more important show, and I give them credit for that. You do have technically 2 go-home shows for your pay-per-view, and you should make people want to watch both of them. So,
yeah, I mean, short of the goof at the end, Raw really wasn't terrible. The first 2 hours were certainly worth your time. The third one, you could take or leave most of it.
I must have been in a bad mood. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there was something else I was interested in. Maybe the Grammys were on my mind, which I didn't actually remember that they were on Monday night. I don't know. But there was something about the show that just really did not grab me. And I honestly was nodding off towards the end. I really was. And it wasn't because I was, per se, really tired. It had nothing that really grabbed me or anything I really cared about. So, I don't know. But... Well, guys, that is Monday Night Raw. And that, of course, leads us to Fast Lane, and we've got to break this whole thing down. And I don't think they have any theme music. Sean, do they have
They do have a theme song, but I completely my mind went blank that I needed to go get that theme song.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Just here, we'll do the very easy theme song for Fast Lane. There you go. That's all you need to know.
With Eve Marie doing the flags. There you go.
Oh, Lord. We know it's a failure already. Let's start with Kalisto and, of course, Alberto Del Rio for the 2 out of 3 falls match for the U.S. title. Now, this one could be interesting. As, of course, we talked about it already, the kickoff show match. And I don't know. It could be good, maybe, hopefully. What do you guys think?
I really hope this is good. I really hope it's Kalisto going over. I'm picking Kalisto, but I'll be sad if it's Del Rio.
I'm gonna wind up picking Del Rio. I think we know where this is going. Kalisto's gonna get put back with Sin Cara, do the multi-team whatever thing at WrestleMania, and Del Rio will go on to have some. Hopefully, it's a good U.S. title match at WrestleMania.
I hope so too. But for this match though, I'm going to go Kalisto. I'm with Paul. I fear that Alberto Del Rio could win it. I just don't want to see that. I'm hoping to God it doesn't happen. But yeah, for me, Kalisto's got to go on. Let's talk about AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. What do you guys think about this match?
This is going to AJ, no doubt about it. I really hope they can match and surpass what they did on SmackDown, because that match was phenomenal.
Nice use of the word phenomenal. Not
I'm kind of good at this.
Yeah, not that WWE didn't overuse it that day either. It's gonna be hard to overdo that. I mean, that was a great match in itself, and to go higher than that, man, they're gonna have to give it some time, and it's certainly primed that way because you have some matches on here that are probably gonna go short, or at least they should go short. That freaking 6-man tag better not go 20 minutes. And neither should Shasta, and the Becky match shouldn't go very long either. But we'll see. Either way, AJ is winning that thing. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they even make it a series. They wind up making it like a best 3 out of 5 or something, or whatever. Because I'm totally expecting Jericho to turn here.
I'm with you guys. AJ's got to win this one, and I really look forward to a really good match. I'm hoping for the maybe a show stealer or something like that. I think these two guys could really do it. Let's talk about that 6-man tag match, Sean. Let's talk about the fact that the Wyatt family with Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, and of course Braun Strowman all getting in the ring with Bray Wyatt, hanging out with those guys on the outside of the ring. We'll be facing off against Kane, Big Show, and the Ryback. So, I mean, this could
Wyatt
be...
family win.
Is that all? That quickly, huh?
What else is it there for? Wyatt family win.
Do you
agree, Paul? Yeah. And I really hope we sort of see the contingent break up some, like Harper and Rowans to go get put in that tag match at Mania. You find something for Bray to do. You keep Braun looking menacing on the outside. That'll be a happy day.
See, I mean, I just was hoping this was the time for Kane to get over and to shine. And,
oh boy.
Didn't
he do enough of that last year?
Yeah. You guys are completely right. This is the Wyatt families all the way. If it was to go any other way, it would be a terrible tragedy, and it would make no sense. So, yes, I agree with you guys. The Wyatt family all the way. And I do say this, as much as I was surprised how much I really didn't care about the Bray Wyatt promo on Monday Night Raw, if he does something here, does something that was, halfway entertaining, I would be down for it because, I think that, anytime you can use the Wyatt family in a good fashion, and, of course, winning the match is great, but I think adding that in would help too.
So what would you guys think of, not saying I've heard anything, I'm just spitballing here, Undertaker and Brock in a tag against the Wyatts?
Meh.
No.
It would kind of make sense if they can't come up with the opponent for Undertaker. Yeah.
You're shooting yourself in the foot by trying to fix a mess by making a bigger mess. You need big marquee matches. That does not scream big marquee match.
Oh, I agree with you.
That screams, dear God, panic button. We broke the panic button. Oh God.
Yeah. And it just doesn't. To me, okay, they could share.
Well, because you know who's going to win.
Yeah. That's the thing. But
it's all about the spectacle at that point of watching Brock and Taker being a team together.
Yeah. It is a spectacle, but, despite the common enemy, Brock Lesnar doesn't care about anybody or anyone else but himself, and he's not even going to try to tag in Undertaker. So, if they did it that way, to me, it's just...
Oh, no, but Brock has respect for Undertaker. I don't think that's...
Yeah, but still, I don't know. Maybe you're... I don't know. I just think that Brock Lesnar, as the Brock Lesnar that I know, he's just going to go destroy, and he's going to forget the Taker is even there. So I think it's better not to even do the tag. That's just my personal opinion. But let's talk about this next match that we got to get into here. It's the Intercontinental title match, and we kind of gave it away a little earlier because of course Kevin Owens winning the title here, and of course once again I was kind of surprised this wasn't didn't have any stipulations. I just want to say that I thought they may add a stipulation here, but Dolph Ziggler will be facing off Kevin Owens, and is Dolph Ziggler gonna take it right away from Kevin Owens? Is Kevin Owens gonna retain?
Kevin to retain, Dolph Z to make him look good, and then here's hoping we get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the championship at WrestleMania.
Kevin Owens is gonna win here. I just can't see what would be the point of Dolph Ziggler winning at this point? We've been through this charade with Dolph for how long now? It's just, if you give it to Dolph, it's just, to me, it's just a total WWE booking themselves in a corner again.
Yeah, I agree. And to me, just Kevin Owens just getting the title makes no sense for him to lose it that quick. Let's talk Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks facing off against Team Bad, Naomi and Tamina. Now, I mean, this could be good, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of high hopes for it. What do you guys think?
I think this could be fun at the very least. I'm not expecting, a 4 or 5 star match, but certainly something that's entertaining. They're certainly capable of delivering something worthwhile, and Becky Lynch and Sasha certainly go over here, no question about it.
Yeah, this should be fun. We've seen, Naomi doing the speedball Mike Bailey kicks and all that kind of stuff now, and they're kind of doing some fun things. I just hope it, you either need to end it quick and make it a dominant thing for Becky and Sasha, or you make it entertaining. I just hope it's not bad.
Yeah, I'm right there with you too, and I think that it could be fun. I just don't think they're gonna just blow the roof off the place. I think it'll be there for the future reasons why we'll see some future things going on. I think even you have a chance to see Becky and Sasha kind of have a little bit of rift maybe somewhere in this match possibly, which could be cool too. So,
well, I have bad news for you, Gary.
What's the bad news?
Your boy Ken Shamrock lost today.
Oh God, no! Oh, that's depressing.
Yeah, he got low blowed by Royce Gracie. The referee apparently didn't call it, and then he just hit him in the head, kneed him in the head, and then beat him down for a little bit, and in about 2 minutes they called it off.
I'll have to say this. I have to give it to my boy Ken Shamrock. The guy has definitely jobbed out these last 2 matches, but it's okay. He's Ken Shamrock, and to me, you can never take the shine away from him. So, Gracie's always had a cheat. We know that. It is what it is. But good, if you're gonna have storylines, that's the way to do it. But getting into this whole thing, Sasha Banks, and for me, they possibly could get a few things going here with Lynch, but I think they're going to win, despite maybe having some post-match issues. Let's talk about the other Divas match. Charlotte with her Divas title facing off against Brie Bella. What do you think? Do you think Brie Bella can win one for the home team?
No. Charlotte goes over. If this is Brie's last match, then hopefully they make it a good one.
Oh, I hope to God they don't even dream about putting Brie in the title match at WrestleMania. I just hope this is it. You put her in the invitational thing or whatever they're going to do for the multi-divas match, and you let her have a thing at WrestleMania, and that's it. Just focus on the women that are going to be here now. No need to do a victory lap tour for Brie. If it was Nikki, I think maybe you can do it for all the stuff she's done and for how much she's improved and all that, but Brie, I'm sorry. I don't care how much you want people chanting yes at WrestleMania for her and all that stuff. Talk about bringing down the divas that will be there after she's long gone.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the future really is. But with Brie Bella, I mean, on her way out, I mean, I think that people should give her props for doing what she has done. But at the same point, this is Charlotte's time. Charlotte's going to win this match, and I think the one thing that fans can do, and if you're able to go to Fast Lane or you're even going to go to WrestleMania, I think the best thing you could do is to cheer on Brie Bella by saying, well, let's just chant this: "Baby Maker, Baby Maker."
Or are they going to chant that that's what she said at her?
Yeah, there you go. I can imagine the T-shirt. Baby goes here with the arrow pointing down.
Oh boy, Gary, let's go.
Just saying.
I don't think they could have her walk around with that.
You never know. But that'd be very interesting to see. I get one question though, really quickly, and I forgot to ask this quick hits. But Paul, I know you followed the indie circuit with Brie Bella leaving in this summer and Nikki injured. We're seeing their age; they're pretty much done for the most part. WWE signed a couple twins. It's actually sets of twins, I should say. The Blossom Sisters, I believe, is their name, or the Blossom Twins, and of course, there's another one, the Chow Sisters.
The second set, I'm not overly familiar with. The first ones, the Blossoms, they've been in OVW for a long time. They used to, when OVW was still associated with WWE, I think they were already down there. They've been floating around for a while. They're pretty good. So it's a good signing on them. The second one said I haven't seen or heard of before, so that'll be fun for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I just was curious what your opinion about that, because once again, we're losing Brie Bella, and that means that the twins are no longer available for WWE, and they need a new set. So they're trying. So, of course, guys, we got the last match, the main event to talk about here, and this is for the number one contendership to face off against Triple H at WrestleMania 32. Dean Ambrose facing off against Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Now, I mean, this is going to be a big one. This is going to be, for who gets a chance to go for that big title at the biggest show of the year. Who do you have going through?
We're talking main event, right?
Yeah, main event.
It's going to be Reigns. Reigns is a story they're telling. Dean and Brock, I think, are pretty much set for WrestleMania, and you'll have Reigns beat Triple H, as much as a lot of us are probably going to not be a fan of that.
So I finally figured out what the issue is that nobody's hearing, but I am. I had the thing on so I could listen to you guys in my headphones, and on Skype, so I was double hearing you.
Ah, there you go.
So that solves it there. Yeah. Look, WWE's done a really good job of making you think that Ambrose has a shot here, especially with taking the Intercontinental title away. They've done a couple of things with Brock or whatever, but they are just... all they're doing is basically hiding Roman Reigns away so that it's not this big, oh my god, we all know that Roman Reigns is winning. It's more like, oh, he won. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, but you know what? F it. I'm going to go with Dean Ambrose. Just because I just think I'm going to be sick to my stomach if I chose Roman Reigns. And it's not because of Roman Reigns, his ability. I'll be honest with you. It's because Roman Reigns versus Triple H is too predictable. It's something that, we could all just point at and say, oh, I know exactly what's happening. So I don't want that. I want more intrigue. Unless they can find a way to add the intrigue and have Roman Reigns win here, the number one contendership, I'm not really excited about it, but I think you guys are right, but I'm still going to choose Dean Ambrose, just on my side.
So these Chow sisters are from Vancouver, British Columbia. They are models and fitness trainers, and both of them have bachelor's degrees, so they are smart.
Okay.
There you go.
Hopefully they're hard workers.
I mean, yeah, they do a bunch of fitness stuff. One of them played soccer for like 15 years, apparently. So.
Well, I hear, Vancouver's a pretty good place. We know Toronto can make great divas. We'll see if Vancouver can. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, that is Fast Lane. That is all our predictions, and you'll have to see on Sunday night when we do our post Fast Lane show if we got them right, wrong, what happened. So you don't forget about that. We want you to come Sunday night and listen to that and get a chance to kind of hear our reactions, and maybe some knee-jerk reactions, in fact, after that show. So there's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss that. But now, guys, it's time for us to kind of move on here. But before we go on to NXT, there's something we want to kind of delve into that's kind of interesting. And it's talking about the world of YouTube and the fact that WWE is using YouTube on a big basis here. In fact, Sean and I were talking, and this was what's interesting, Sean, when we were kind of having this conversation, is the fact that WWE is releasing more and more content. Their content is really popular right now on YouTube. And you can watch Monday Night Raw, and if you wanted to see something over again, you just look on YouTube, and about 30 minutes after it happens, it's right there for you to watch over and over again.
You can follow the WWE Twitter, and in about 2 or 3 minutes, you can see pictures and stuff of like what happened. Just, it's insane how WWE could possibly be hurting their, the people, especially the cord cutters, keeping the cord cutters from going back to watching it live or whatever, is they are the number 3 channel worldwide, and in the United States as far as YouTube views. A week, guys. They are the number 1 sports channel in the world.
Wow.
On YouTube. I mean, so they had 8 billion views last year. So think about that. You have 8 billion views on your YouTube videos. You're giving people 5-minute chunks of Raw. How wouldn't I rather watch the 5-minute chunks of Raw than watch 3 whole hours of Raw and have to sit there and watch that? And then not to mention, like, I think when I was listening to the Torch, one of the Torch audio podcasts this week, Wade Keller was saying that almost about 50% of people watch Raw at least one day later on the DVR. Just think about that. Like, how much people do not watch the show live. If you factor that all in, how much bigger their ratings would be. And how now they do ratings a lot different than they used to do. Like, now they don't do ratings by show. When they go try to do advertisers, they give you their package of, like, here's our top 5 shows. Is there a show on here you don't want to advertise for? Okay, well, you don't advertise for it. But you advertise for all of those shows in that package. So the ratings goes to the network. It doesn't go to that show. So if WWE is still doing, like, quadruple times whatever Mr. Robot's doing, they're still the best show that USA has by a mile. So it doesn't matter whether these ratings are going down really or not, because USA has nothing else that even gets close anymore. Because aside from Suits, all their other shows that have, and iRobot and that Mr. Robot show, like, barely gets a 1. So, like, they get all these critically acclaimed shows, and it doesn't even touch WWE. So that's the thing that, like, people keep talking about the ratings all the time, and it just shows you how much they don't matter anymore. And I just wanted to bring that up about, like, how all these different factors of things, and, like, apparently, like, I was listening to this too, that Time Warner now wants to buy a stake in Hulu so they can block Time Warner subscribers from having access to, or block people that don't have Time Warner from being able to view the stuff the next day on there. So, like, you have Time Warner, right, Paul?
I do.
So, like, I guess maybe they don't do they? I'm assuming they do on demand the next day. So I don't understand what.
I would have to use on demand to know.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, like, if you don't use their on demand service but you use Hulu or something, I guess they want to block it so you can't be able to watch shows next day on there instead of on their stuff.
It's a waste of time because there are so many other ways for people to get content on the internet.
Yeah, but obviously, that's a lot harder to shut down than trying to shut down legit ways that people do view things, they've been trying for years, and they shut down one big company, and then the next one comes up and just, it's like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's interesting that they are trying to do that. And, with the world of wrestling, I mean, you already have to have people, like, really digging and finding those special ways to watch content. Let's just take, for example, for the people that, don't have the El Rey network, like myself. We've got to find other ways to watch Lucha Underground. You're talking about people that at one time didn't have Destination America, had to go find TNA. Now that they're on Pop TV, it's more accessible. I'll say it this way, too. look at myself. This week I forgot to record TNA. It happens, if I don't think to go look on channel 694 on Tuesday night and push record, I forget.
Why
and
don't
I probably
you put it as a
I
series?
I should. I just don't want Verizon to cancel my services because I put that as a series on my DVR. So anyway, I just thought, there's a situation that I'm screwed. Well, no, like on demand, and I looked up, and it's right there for me to watch. So to me, Time Warner making that kind of a decision, of course, they have it on their own TV. That's fine. That's what they want you to watch. But why go after other people and try to cancel Hulu's ability to do it? Because yes, it does take away from your cable service. But at the same point, if you offer the same thing, maybe people won't look on Hulu. Maybe they'll just use your TV service. So I don't know. I just think it's silly. Like Paul said, it's really null and void because you can find any show out there you want on the internet and not have to even watch Hulu or even subscribe to Hulu.
Well, do you think that this thing with YouTube and all this stuff, is this helping WWE, or is this hurting them because it's taking away from a lot of your stuff is with the rights fees? That's how you're making a lot of your money. Obviously, USA can look at this and go, well, look at all these people that are going to YouTube instead of going to watch it on our show, our channel, or maybe they don't even watch it maybe they do have cable and they don't even watch it on demand. They just go straight to YouTube because that's easier. It's cut up in a way that they can watch it.
It's a very fine double-edged sword. Because on the one hand, it might be hurting USA and what they got going on over there, but on the other hand, it shows that you have such a giant fan base. These guys could be buying merch. These guys could be buying DVDs. These guys could be buying all sorts of different things from WWE itself without actually tuning into your product and just using Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or whatever other method they're using. And it's still benefiting the company. It's just in a different fashion. This is what has cable companies and TV providers and all sorts of people freaking out about cord cutters is they don't know. Obviously their lifeline of how they're making their money is going out it's becoming old news. It's going the way of print media. So when you have stuff like this happening in WWE, is a freaking juggernaut at social media, and they've been pumping this sort of stuff out for years. It feels like now. They could be a company eventually that you could see survive without the need for cable, and that's frightening for a lot of companies. Like, what happens when Major League Baseball or the NBA or NFL or these giant sports conglomerates figure out that they can make more money doing their own thing? It's an interesting time, and it makes sense for these guys to be scrambling, but I don't think WWE needs to scramble. They're probably doing just fine.
But doesn't this also give credence to, Vince should not knee-jerk so much because the ratings don't matter? That it seems like these people are watching no matter what, right? You're taking the time, whether you find out that this show is bad or that last hour sucked, you're still watching it. So why not be more patient about what you decide to do instead of just...
Because I think Vince, it being who he is still stuck on what cable ratings say. And especially when that is... I'm assuming USA is still, and the TV contracts are still by far their highest rated way of getting paid. I'm sure that is what is on Vince's mind more than the future.
Yeah, and he's been in that world for so long. It's hard to break away from that thought process and getting into the new generation of how TV works and how ratings really matter and all of those things. To me, I think Vince is kind of set in his ways, and this has worked for a long time. Why change your mindset kind of attitude?
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that's why it is going to probably have to take, Vince not being there for that whole thing to be able to change,
But I mean, it's great news to hear that YouTube, is being very successful for WWE. That means that they've got a lot of people looking at their content. To me, that's not bad news. That's really positive.
Well, and also the network's profitable for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also showing that finally what they wanted to do with the network is, which, I know Gary is excited because you get more EC. They have now added ECW on TNN for the first time. So, now you can go watch all that. But it's amazing, like, all this time that they've done this, and now they've finally gotten it to where, the network's profitable. You're starting to get views in other places that shows that, like Paul said, you at some point you may not need the cable companies as much. If people were scared about WWE's power before, this keeps going. Talk about the supreme power they can have.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, guys. Well, unless you guys have anything else to add, I think we're going to move on.
I just want to give this guy, David Bixen's fan. He does a lot of stuff with, when the financials come out, him and Chris Harrington kind of break this stuff down. He has a show called like WrestleNomics, which basically that's what that does. And he's the one that kind of did this report on the YouTube thing, and I think I wanted to give him props. He also did this like really cool story on a Big Show, how he could have had a boxing career at one point. And so, if you're there are like legit, like, people talk. I know Fonte was making a big old stink about how Meltzer doesn't deserve that journalism award or whatever. There are people that don't just go around doing dirt sheet stuff. There are people that actually do like legit wrestling journalism things. So,
yeah,
just pointing that out there.
Definitely. So go check out that content and read about it yourself. I mean, that's always the best way to kind of get educated. Not only that, maybe get it a little bit further into what we were talking about. So. But all right, guys, let's move on. We got some NXT to talk about. Why don't we jump into that next?
Hold on. Where are you?
WWE Developmental NXT.
All right. NXT. Which this NXT was certainly headlined by a big match, but it starts with one here, and it was an 8-man tag. American Alpha, Enzo Amore, and Colin Cassidy against Blake and Murphy, and the NXT Tag Team Champions Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson. Of course, Alexa Bliss out there with Blake and Murphy as well. You can probably guess who won this one, but this was just really fun. Just a really enjoyable 8-man. Great way to start out the show.
I completely agree. The tag team division in NXT is pretty much leaving every other tag division around wrestling in the dust, including WWE, TNA, what have you. American Alpha is awesome. Dash and Dawson, who I think are starting to be called the Revival now, they're pretty awesome. I still love Blake and Murphy. You have Enzo and Big Cass. You have the Vaudevillains to a degree still around. Like, it's thriving here.
The Hype Bros.
Hype Bros. Good stuff all the way around.
Yeah, you're totally right on that, Paul. And it is great to see. And you may consider these 4 tag teams to be on the upper echelon, and which they really kind of are. But in the end, you get a chance to have just a great match, and of course winners that people can be happy with, and it's kind of a good feeling.
I mentioned her earlier, Deonna Purrazzo, showing up again on NXT. She gets the mean girl treatment, as she has a match with Asuka, which she knows what's happening here before she even gets in the ring. But Dana Brooke and Emma come in to like rub it in her face, basically like, "Oh, you think you're gonna be able to do what we couldn't? Well, let me tell you, sister, we run NXT, just so you didn't know." And then Asuka basically goes and whoops Miss Purrazzo here. So, she continues to do her thing.
Well, like you do when you run into Asuka, you just get murdered. And God save me, Asuka's amazing at squashing people.
Yeah, it was almost like William Regal said, we've got to give a lamb to the slaughter. Here we go.
Yeah, true. Alex Riley didn't get slaughtered, but he got beat by Ty Dillinger.
Very disappointed for me. You guys are big Dillinger fans. I'm okay with Dillinger. I'm actually a bigger Alex Riley fan, and I think this is kind of disappointing. I hope it makes sense storyline-wise. If it doesn't, this is a big deal.
I really think they should do more with Ty Dillinger. Granted, the top of the card is sort of stuffed right now, but he's certainly a guy I think that's ready to break out and do some work. The live crowd loves him. I think he's a terrific worker.
This
Ty
is before
certainly
his
deserves
injury,
a shot.
though, right?
Yeah, I believe so. But
Yeah.
at any rate, give the man a go.
Oh, maybe he'll get some kind of big, huge hero's welcome or whatever when he gets back from his unfortunate injury. I did think that Nia Jax and Eve Marie had a nice little... it wasn't anything because it was very short, but showed a lot of character from the two, why they work as a team, Eve Marie and Nia Jax, and the little promo they had there.
Yeah, I'm still not jonesing on this combination, but it is what it is at this point.
Why not? Like, doesn't Eve Marie... You want Eve Marie's the person that gets Nia Jax some heat, because Nia does get some cheers from the fans because she destroys people. So isn't that kind of what you want?
I guess, but when I look at Eva Marie, I'm blinded by red-white hatred.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole thing between Eva Marie and, I don't know, just Eva Marie alone, I wish we can cancel her out. It just it does nothing for me. But yes, their combination to me is kind of odd. But I do like the promo they cut here on NXT. They really just kind of point out their issues and what they say that they're going to do. And I wasn't, too far-fetched with that. I think that actually worked out. But, I don't know. Eva Marie, I just kind of wish was just done. I just can't stand it.
Gary. You can just keep...
Yeah, I don't know. She can go do a movie. Sonny, help her out with that.
Yeah. I don't think her husband's going to let her do one of those movies, Gary.
You never know.
Either way, we do get a nice little confrontation between Baron Corbin and William Regal. And then we get, American Alpha, Blake and Murphy happen next week. That should be fun. And then we get this. This is why people, when you say I want to watch NXT, this is the kind of thing. This happened on NXT TV. This right here, Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, number one contenders match. And my lord, they left it all out on the line. Just awesome. And we had another double pin again. So another draw.
Best match on television this week, bar none. Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe go out there, absolutely wreck any idea of what you had planned for this match. Back and forth the whole way. It's well executed. It's well, thought out. It starts low, builds to the apex of the double pin, and I mean, my goodness, you're left out of breath. I think at the end.
Yeah, I mean, and they worked hard. I mean, and then Joe was just beating the crap out of Zayn for a while, and Zayn would come back, and just even in the way that the finish was freaking awesome too. Just great stuff.
Yeah, definitely, and as much fun as it was to watch, here we are at the end, and it's going to be a draw. I'm just kind of curious what you guys feel about this. Are they just dragging their feet so much? Is it going to start to be a problem? Because, this was okay, but at the same point, I'm like, how much more of this can we actually do?
Well, they got to do it. They got to do it for a lot longer, Gary. I mean, they've got till April 1st till take over.
Well, so is the thought process that Baron Corbin is going to be part of this, helping along to drag the feet until April?
Well, I mean, we know where Baron Corbin's going. So, well, most people already know what happened. We know Baron Corbin's going on with Austin Aries. So, I mean, it's more like they got to try to figure out a contender, and they had to figure out a way to keep this thing going because those are your two people that are going to be your contender. I mean, why are you going to bring in guys that you know are not going to be in that picture? I mean, it kind of sucks, but that's what happens when you have to build to this all-encompassing show, and you have this huge star in Nakamura coming, and you're going, well, we can't just have him squash somebody. We got to have him have a freaking fantastic match. And I mean, yeah, you could probably pick a few other guys, but Sami Zayn's probably my pick if you want to have a good first match with somebody.
Not only that, I think it just plays right into what draws people to NXT. You're building up to quite possibly the biggest takeover in NXT's history by using wrestling, and that's what everybody's watching NXT for. It just a perfect build to what should be an amazing show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. This is going to be, one of those deals where I watch and I hope that things, get a little bit better. And I think they can be. Because I think Sami Zayn, I think that Samoa Joe both deserve, everything that they have, put into this whole thing. I just, I want to see this story not drag their feet. I think that they got to come down and make some other decisions to really kind of balance this thing out. Because right now, I have that feeling of it. This is just going to be so drawn out. By the end of it, I just won't care, So
I'm sure that it will get better. It's just, again, they have a whole another month and a half here.
Yeah.
Still.
Which I haven't watched spoilers, so you guys probably know everything that's going to happen. I don't know anything.
Oh, no, I don't know anything building up. We just know what the end is.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's something where, I'm like I said, I'm hoping the best because, NXT's been pretty good. I don't want them to start sliding any, so. But anyway, guys, well, that is NXT for you, but we have to move on, and we are going to jump into something that is really cool, and that is talk about Honor Rising. That's right, Ring of Honor and New Japan got together to do this show, and myself nor Paul really got a chance to watch this yet, but Sean did. So, Sean, we're going to give you the floor and let you talk about this show.
Yeah, well, I mean, this show... Hold on, I should probably do this so we can have a little bit of separation between everything.
King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
This is technically an R-rated show, but I mean, this is the first of two shows. The other one is probably, I think it starts in about 30 minutes from the time we're taping this. Part of it was nothing is bad other than the Ghetto and Delirious match was just, it bored me. I understand why they're doing it. It's like a rematch from one of the Global Wars shows or whatever, but I could have done without that match, honestly. Everything else was either, average to good to great when you get to the main event. I would just recommend watching the second half, like watching from the Kenny Omega Young Bucks against the Red Dragon and Shibata match on. Maybe if you can watch that 8-man too if you want, because that has some fun stuff in it. Hanma, Elgin, Moose, and Tanahashi all clear the ring, and they all do the Elgin pose in the middle. Like that old Hogan flex or whatever, which is kind of fun. I mean, and Moose has some fans in Japan, by the way. They're all getting down with doing the Moose deal. It was kind of funny. And then even Tonga in the middle of the match, like, he makes fun of it. He starts doing it, and the fans don't do anything. So, obviously it depends on who they're doing it for. And it kind of sucks because Kushida was supposed to face Adam Cole, but he couldn't be there because Adam Cole had a family issue. So that match would have been much better than the one that he had with Kazarian. But, I mean, everything else, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are going for those never open weight 6-man titles on the show that's happening in a little bit. So they were obviously going to win. Kyle O'Reilly takes the pin, which is kind of weird considering, but, Shibata wasn't going to take it. Omega and Shibata look good against each other, so I'll be excited if they ever have that match. Omega got right in Shibata's face before the match started and was like, "Ha, I've got the title that's better than yours." All this stuff. So Shibata's like, "Oh, really?" And then he just takes him to the front of the Hurricane Hall, and even though Omega switches on him at the last minute, his intention was to throw him into a bunch of stuff. So, he did not particularly care for Omega taunting him there. Young Bucks didn't look as crisp as they usually do. I'll say that. There was a little bit of botching, and the finish got botched because Omega tried to almost catch O'Reilly into the one-winged, and he had to hold him up there, and then O'Reilly had to make it seem like he had a hold of his arm so that he wouldn't drop him. Other than that, and then Cody Hall had one of his fantastic moments where he almost dropped Moose on his head trying to do the Razor's Edge. He had to lift him up so Moose could do an eye poke to make it look like, Cody Hall wasn't about to drop him on his head. I feel bad because we talked so much about Cody Hall, doing better on the Nagata show, and then he has one of these moments. Dog Gallows and Carl Anderson are going to say goodbye on the next show. And then Jay Lethal and Naito had some fun stuff in their thing. Naito was perplexed and totally enamored with the Book of Truth. Lethal gave him the Book of Truth, and he kind of sat there and kept reading it like, "Oh, there's good stuff in here." Okay. And so Lethal just took the Los Ingobernables hat, and he was good with that. So, but the best part of the show is the main event with Ishii and Roderick Strong. Strong basically works Ishii's back the whole time. And, there was parts where obviously Ishii has not worked with Strong in the past, so, there's times where some of his moves, he's supposed to do a backbreaker, but it turns into a back suplex or a front suplex because Ishii doesn't understand that, he's supposed to land on his... And maybe he didn't do the whole landing on his knee to kind of protect him. But either way, it really pays off towards the end because Ishii just gets more and more mad, and then eventually just beats him with the brainbuster, and it's like a total shock when it happens because you're not expecting somebody to beat the ROH champion or whatever. And and he and Goto have that match scheduled for the anniversary show. I wonder if they're going to change that around. But I wonder because obviously Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong can't happen now because Roderick Strong doesn't have the title, so that's going to be interesting. what they do there. But it's certainly it went about 20 minutes, and it was well worth watching. If you don't watch anything else from that show, watch the Ishii Roderick Strong match, because that was pretty awesome. And then it's going to be interesting to see how they do Jay Lethal and Tomoaki Hama in about 30 minutes. So if they did all that. Dalton Castle and Taguchi on a team. Awesome. Just Taguchi comes out with his own peacock outfit. Just, I was like, okay, I'm all down with that. Like, it's just, he has his own green peacock feathers, and they both do the ass attack, and it was just fun stuff. And then Liger brings in the boys so he can have the boys fan him too, and Dalton gets mad. You know, it's great stuff. Great stuff.
Oh, man. Well, it sounds pretty awesome. It sounds like a really good show, and I definitely encourage everybody to go check it out.
It's like 2.5 hours if you skip through the intermission, so it's not... It did not feel like a long show at all. I would definitely just say you could probably skip the Lyris and Ghetto, you can probably skip Kushida and Kazarian, and the rest of the matches, you can watch them, they're fun. You know.
Oh, sure. So definitely great, and of course, we may be getting more into the New Japan talk, of course, this Sunday. So if you want to hear more information about this show and the show that comes after this, you definitely want to check out that Sunday night show. We'll probably finish up the show after we talk Fast Lane. So with New Japan stuff,
Tom will be on, so he will be giving his take on it, and hopefully you guys will get some time to watch some of the matches, and we can all discuss it.
Definitely. So that looks like a good deal. So, but now it is time for us to get on and talk some Lucha Underground, and don't forget, people, we also are going to talk some TNA and crown a Superstar of the Week. But Paul, we're going to let you take this away.
I keep forgetting to tell Gary
to make the new. I know. We really need it, because I wish I would have never lost that clip. But, we changed a few things here and there, and our system's not the same. And I'll have to find it or make a new one. So we'll get that done. But, Paul, it's all yours.
All right. So we start off our show with Ivelisse meeting with Katrina in the back. Katrina tells Ivelisse that she should be thankful that Mil Muertes pretty much didn't murder her. And I'm pretty sure we can all be grateful for that. Ivelisse, however, wants a shot at the Disciples and those Trios championships once again, but Katrina very plainly states that there are no automatic rematches in the Temple. I really like that. That's very different from everywhere else in wrestling. And she says they're going to have to earn it back, so she puts Ivelisse and Havoc and Angelico in a Trios match to try to fight their way back into another title shot. And that trio they're facing is Chavo Guerrero, Cortez Castro, and Cisco. It's a fun match. Ivelisse, Havoc, and Angelico go over as accepted. It's high energy. I wouldn't say it's high quality, but it's very fun.
Those three together in a match, you can't ever go wrong. I mean, they're just really good together. You get excited for each one of them coming in there, and it's nice to see Ivelisse in there without her broken ankle or not being able to do anything. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, a good way to start this show is something that's entertaining. It's got lots of action, and you really have a point to it. I like when the beginning of the show really reflects of what's going to happen next, and that's exactly what they do here. So positive stuff, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
Oh, and Cisco, man, he just, I don't know. To me, he was certainly the weak link in this thing.
Lil Cholo has never been the greatest wrestler alive, but he certainly does have his merits. For one, he fits the gimmick, and two, I think
exactly, yeah,
his style works well for what they're trying to do too. So we get post-match. Chavo is yelling at the crew for losing. Tejano comes back and runs Chavo off. That runs into a Johnny Mundo video package, which is your typical fun Lucha Underground package. Then we get to Joey Ryan, and that's, I suppose I should say Officer Joey Ryan, who's meeting backstage with Castro. He pretty much tells him he's a better cop because he's going to do everything better than he ever did. And he spectacularly fails in his match against Cage, as Cage just runs him right over.
He did have moments in there, though. It's not like it was a total. There was times where like Ryan kind of made you think, "Oh, well, dang," you know. But he like it's just his whole thing works because it's just like he looks like a freaking 70s, one of those sleazy ass 70s cops, and then he gets into his whole gimmick when he comes to the ring. Whenever he hits Cage with a lollipop. I mean, just dumb, but it works, you know.
You know, it just makes me wonder when they're going to reveal his special power, which is, of course, his male genitalia.
Oh, Lord, no.
And that is going to be exciting, and I hope that does happen. But right now, the point being is this is fine. Cage, you know, taking care of business is not a problem. But I do like Joey Ryan's, you know, cop character here. I enjoy that.
I got to say, Cage using the Steiner screwdriver, number one bro guy is Cage.
Yes.
Because Steiner screwdriver is one of the most amazing moves in pro wrestling. So post match we get Johnny Mundo coming out to attack Cage. He goes for End of the World, but Cage counters out, hits Weapon X, stands tall. Cage looking mighty beastly in the opening episodes of Lucha Underground here. We cut to Rey Mysterio in a undisclosed location with Dragon Azteca, where we get some background about the Azteca character. He apparently has had some business relationship with Dario Cueto's father back in Mexico, and that's where the search for the 7 Aztec tribes started, and Cuerto Sr. becomes a bit obsessed and starts doing sacrifices, which leads to him sacrificing Matanza to turn into whatever god-awful monstrosity he is now. And they end up, Azteca ends up backing out. They make a peace treaty with some crazy dark magic, and Rey pretty much tells, you know, Azteca that looking for revenge is not the way to go about doing this with Cuerto. You got to go find and unite the 7 tribes. Pretty much the crazy mystical stuff you come to expect from Lucha Underground, and you just got to accept it and know it's going to matter at some point.
Yeah, I mean, this felt like you know, that moment in Batman Begins where he's talking to what's his face? Liam Neeson's talking to Christian Bale at that, you know, when they're in that little hut or whatever it is, and they're Mysterio and Azteca are like sparring with each other during this, and it's just like, my God, I don't feel like I'm watching a wrestling show anymore.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. But it's entertaining, it's fun, and, you know, definitely different.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to matter is all you really need to know if you're not into the craziness that goes on outside the wrestling ring here. Pentagon Jr. and Prince Puma are your main event. It never really kicks into that next gear, and when it looks like it's about to, the match is over, which is very, very disappointing. But Puma ends up getting Pentagon in position for the 450. He eats some knees, which almost gets Pentagon near fall, which I really enjoyed that spot. And sort of ends in a DQ for the messy pinfalls. This is the best way I can describe this, I think.
Yeah, it was. This was really good, though. This was really good. I enjoyed it. I mean, just some of the stuff that they did was just really smooth. I love the whole Puma acting like he's gonna break Pentagon's arm and stuff, and kind of tell him like, "Hey, I was that close. I could have done it if I wanted to," you know. And he doesn't. I mean, Puma pulling out a cutter was it was cool. I mean, Pentagon also, you know, had his moment. I mean, him hitting the doing the surfboard was cool too. So I really enjoy this match. Like you said, this is obviously building to something, so I'm kind of glad they didn't give it all away here.
Mm-hmm. I totally failed too. Puma wins with the backslide. By the way, no DQ here.
Yeah.
Big fail on my part.
I just blanked. So.
What matters here to me is that I like both these guys, and I didn't want either to lose. So it's tough.
Puma should win though. He's been your perennial main event guy. I mean,
it's hard for me not to love Pentagon Jr. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, and I think Lucha Underground knows that, and I think everybody knows that. They got to be real careful with him. So
they gotta be careful with both. These are two of their hottest guys, hands down. So I mean, you gotta be careful with both. You wish you get more, but if this is going somewhere, then you just gotta, much like with the craziness, you gotta wait.
Yeah, very true. Well, that is Lucha Underground for everybody. We hope you enjoyed that. We are going to go on and talk some TNA next. And, of course, once again, we're going to do a Superstar of the Week. And, we've been building up for that, so you don't want to miss that. But before we do, it is time for some Impact Wrestling, guys. So we'll be right back with that.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
All right, Paul.
All right. So we open TNA with my close personal friend EC3, who reveals that he has a match with Matt Hardy next week at the Lockdown event for TNA Impact, another one of those special impacts. And we go from that to his opening promo where he's calling out Tyrus, telling him pretty much to quit being a lackey. He wants to get him some Tyrus. Spud comes out to back EC3 up. Eventually, this whole promo ends with EC3 and Spud being in a tag match against Matt Hardy and Tyrus later on in the evening. Not a terrific promo, mostly because, well, I mean, you're not talking about anything entirely exciting to me. Not to mention the live crowd was very meh on the whole deal too.
Yeah, they were very meh. And EC3 is awesome. You just love him. But what they did here with the end of it, when basically him getting beat down and Tyrus and Matt Hardy, and it just, I don't know. There's something about Matt Hardy right now I'm just not thriving on, but that's just me probably.
And perhaps, the live crowd smelled the terribleness that was to come, but I totally just cut you off there, Sean.
No, yeah. I mean, I think they could definitely tell what was coming with that, so. And that's fine. You should keep it till later in the show. You want there to be a reason why you're continuing to watch if you really like EC3.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I don't know if it was here or in the main event, but man, when he just does that little thing that's really cool, there's fans having their hand out, and he looks at them like, oh, whoa, that's nasty. I don't want to touch your hand, and then it's kind of oh, I could just. Oh man, okay, this is cool. Now it's totally fine for me to slap your hand and stuff. Just he understands oh, okay, I can't just all of a sudden, because everybody else all of a sudden, oh, I was the heel. Oh yeah, you guys are the best. Whatever. No, EC3 still has those tendencies, so he has to slowly get him out of his system or whatever, and that's really good. That's great character work.
I totally agree with that, Sean, and it's amazing just to watch where he's come from. And EC3 is just right now, to me, one of the total packages when it comes to a wrestler in this entire business.
You can't disagree with that at all. But moving on from that, EY and Bram cut a promo where they pretty much rant and rave about how EY is God. And it's awkward, and it pretty much leads to him having a King of the Mountain title match with James Storm. And you could hear my groan halfway across the world because I wanted to crawl into a pit and stop watching this, but I have to keep doing it. And this match is bad, guys. It's a double count out in 4 minutes, and honest to God, it was so awful I can't even remember anything about it.
You know what? There's no reason to remember anything about it, Paul. And you know what? I mean, you did yourself a service by forgetting anything you saw. Trust me, even that extended fight scene that they had later on.
Way too extended fight scene. I was just like, can we just end already? I'm sorry. Anytime I see, and you know what? If you're a big TNA fan, you know, I'm sorry, but anytime I see Eric Young on my TV, I just go click. Oh, that segment's over. Okay, I'm gonna click back on again. Just, I do not care. His voice is uber annoying as hell. Like, just, I'm sorry. There's nothing about you that makes me go, okay, I need to watch this. Just, ugh.
Yeah, I totally agree. And him and Bram both they just don't do it right now. You know, EY was a lot better face, if you ask me. I enjoyed that a lot more than what he's doing now.
Yeah, just off my TV screen is a good place for him. But so we move on. Drew Galloway and EC3 do a little backstage thing where they kind of mend fences a little. Like they got each other's back, but they want to go out and do stuff on their own, which is kind of cool. Maria introduces Mike Bennett next. Bennett wants the briefcase that Galloway has. Pretty much starts calling out people. And Bennett says he's going to make an example of Mandrews, which he pretty much does.
Yeah. You know, I'm still whatever. I'm not too sold on... I have a feeling that somehow Maria's going to still wind up outshining Mike Bennett in this thing. You know, I hate saying that. I really hate saying that, but just, I don't know. I just have this feeling, like, I instantly care when Maria comes on, and her thing with, like, being the savior of the knockouts and all that she did last week was great. It's just like with Bennett, I'm still he's like kind of Galloway to me. Like, Galloway's great, but there's that certain thing that where I just can't, like, he works in TNA, but if I'm gonna say he's a star somewhere else, I just don't see it, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that completely, and I just, you know, I think they're trying their best with him, and I think that they're doing an okay job. I mean, he's definitely annoying. I think he definitely sells that well, and I think that, you know, they're putting him in a position to be successful. It's just, how can he be? And, you know, especially with someone, you know, that's following him to the ring who is probably way more entertaining. Just, you know, on the mic, and of course, you know, has advantages of her own. So I don't know. I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think Maria brings a lot to the table. I wouldn't sell Bennett short yet. He's still going through a bunch of these little squashes, getting towards his first feud, which seems to be with Galloway, and that's great for his choice. But we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not ready to sell the ship on him yet, you know?
Oh, no, and I think they've made a great choice to do with Galloway, because if they would have kept going with just having him beat these guys, I would have... You can't do the EC3 push with everybody.
Right.
Because EC3 had a charisma about him that was different, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And Mike Bennett certainly doesn't have that degree of charisma, but he certainly does bring something to the table. And putting him in a feud with a main event player at least makes him feel important for now. So hopefully you can just capitalize on this. So we get a string of promos here next. The first one's with the Decay. Rosemary cuts a pretty awesome promo about how they're pretty much going to eat wolf flesh. But there's some creepy guy that comes up to the cage while they were cutting the promo, and sort of was like creeping on her. So there's some intrigue.
That's Jimmy Havoc from Rev Pro. But
okay.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're good. I didn't have a specific name written here on my sheet, so. Galloway cuts a promo with Mandrews, but gets attacked by Mike Bennett, who ends up laying them both out. We get a promo from Odarg the Great, which is pretty much Grotto in a mask, and it's pretty great.
And it's Grotto spelled backwards too.
Yes.
So,
and then Matt and Tyrus meet with Spud and pretty much try to bully him into backing out of the match. Which, of course, it just doesn't work because Spud. So.
Yeah, it's Spud, but that's okay. Odarg the Great is definitely a superstar, and I am looking forward to seeing more. I really am. I had to lower my rankings and top rankings of some of the superstars in this industry, but I did it, and he's at number 2. So we'll see where we go from here. David Arquette stays at 1. So anyway, I think it's
somebody
funny,
just turned off the show.
I kid. No, but really, honestly, this is funny. It's silly, but you know what? Grado's kind of grown on me, to be honest with you, and with this gimmick or whatever else he does, I'm okay with it. I think if it was an overabundance of him, I would get tired really quickly of him. But right now, it's okay. I'm okay with him.
Absolutely. So long as they don't overplay it, like you said, it should work out just fine. He's never going to be your top guy, but he's certainly a fun guy to have around and brings a lot to your show, even if it's not at the top. Up next is Monsters Ball for the TNA Tag Team titles. The Wolves defend against the Decay. This is a pretty fun match. It's certainly one of the certainly the best match on this show, in my opinion. Lots of weapons, lots of fun spots with the Wolves, and doing their thing and all that good stuff. They end up retaining, of course. But I mean, it's a fun ride all the way through, I'd say.
Other than the spot where Eddie Edwards was getting thumbtacks poured on his head, which was really stupid because he could have just moved. But other than that, I'm okay because you get almost Lucha Underground spot here with Richards sucking the mist out of Rosemary there at the end, which reading Larry's review here, he apparently went over his head. But everything else, this is kind of something that TNA can do that WWE doesn't do anymore. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and this is one of those times it worked.
Yeah, it did, and it was okay. It was just fine with me, and so I mean, not a whole lot to say about it really, but I mean, I think it was good.
And I want to mention this little angle here too after the match. EC3 meets with Spud, and they talk about their history. And EC3, while face is still, Spud is still beneath him. So he's like, this is for me, Spud, not for you. And just Spud looks pissed as all hell. It's great.
Oh man.
So we get into our traditional Dollhouse versus Beautiful People segment next. Madison Ray, Gil Kim taking on Marty Bell and Jade. About 5 minutes. Not the audible groan from Sean should tell you what you need to know.
I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Velvet Sky was terrible. If you're thinking that Velvet Sky needs to do a run-in 2016, boy.
Bubba needs to help
Dixie Carter, how dare you come on a show and tell somebody you guys have the best women's division in all of wrestling? You need to go watch what a women's division is. You guys used to have the best women's division in all of wrestling a long time ago. Not whatever this is. I feel bad for Gil Kim.
Yeah, I do too. it's a shame, but it is what it is. And right now, I have so very little interest in this Divas, or excuse me, not Divas, Knockouts division. So, but yeah, Velvet Sky, go talk to your boyfriend about mic skills that'll help you out.
Beautiful People go over. So we're getting Beautiful People versus the Dollhouse Lethal Lockdown next week. So there's that.
Well, I mean, it could be interesting. Even though Josh Matthews, as Larry pointed out, was complete. TNA doesn't do this all that often, but they apparently forgot they did have a tag team title. Monsters Ball at one point. But yeah.
Yeah.
In 2008, I think.
Whenever.
Yeah.
Mahal Bali Shera cuts promo saying that he likes the cut of O'Darg's jib. So he's going to team up with him to take on Jesse Goddard and Eli Drake. And the duo end up going over.
Isn't it because O'Darg's supposed to be from India?
If you could understand what Shera said, more power to you, man.
Just as long as you do the Shera shuffle, Stupid. I didn't particularly care for him doing the whole taking the mask off thing, but it's TNA, so they'll probably do the whole the
mask he's wearing is barely even a mask, for God's sakes. I
mean, they'll probably just find some other way to act like, oh, we never saw that. That never happened. Something like that. So, it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, O'Darg's going to face Eli Drake on Lockdown next week.
Can we just get rid of Eli Drake?
Yeah. Ugh. Please.
Maybe Grotto will do you the favor. Matt Hardy and Tyrus team up, take on EC3 and Spud. This was pretty fun. It turns into a handicap match by the end. EC3 and Spud still don't exactly get along well, and that's what causes Spud to walk out. And EC3, of course, ends up not winning because of said action, but
yeah. And I mean, that's the good thing though too, is that you aren't just, again, this continues with the EC3 thing, he's just not magically doing all these things that faces do. Mm-hmm. He is slowly starting to morph in that person, but he's still keeping his essence, and that is what makes him EC3. You don't want to lose that in the end.
For sure. No, and you don't. And I like the battle here. Just because of the fact that it's an uphill battle for EC3. We see him kind of get a chance to do his thing, but you also add Spud into the mix. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not the best match of the night, but it was at least interesting, and it gave you some context on where they're going to go with this whole thing. So, really, I was okay with it.
I totally just failed again, too. EC3 goes over with the 1%er. Spud ends up interfering to hit the low blow that leads to EC3 getting the win, and then they sort of have their little confrontation at the end. I really need to learn how to read, guys. That's what I've learned this week.
I just thought maybe I screwed up. I don't remember that. Maybe I didn't watch it long enough. I watched it on demand, so
it is what it is.
Yeah, but once again, I do like this aspect, and once again, we're talking about their interaction, where EC3 looks at him, doesn't shake his hand, doesn't do anything to Spud, but they just kind of look at each other. So I think it kind of makes a lot of sense here. And what we're talking about a slow transition, and it's happening. So. But
we can make a quick transition to that Superstar of the Week, though.
Let's do it. Let's do it now. That's right, Sean. Let's talk some Superstar of the Week next.
Superstar of the Week.
All right, guys, here we are, and we have our superstar of the week, but we're going to start out and give you a few of the points. And our guy that got, actually, it's two guys who got 1 point this week was Hanma and Makabe. Sean, tell us why.
Because they, in the Nagata show on Sunday, they defended their IWGP Tag Championships against Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows in a pretty good match. So.
And getting 4 points this week, Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe for their match in NXT. I mean, Paul, why do you think that these guys deserve, I said 4, excuse me, I meant 2 points. Why do you think they deserve the 2 points?
We gave them both the 2 points, mostly because the match was a draw, but it's also probably the best match on television this week. Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe went out there, worked their tails off, put on a terrific 15-minute match that you really are doing yourself a favor if you go out and watch this on the network, like right after the show's over.
And since we're doing the show a day later than we normally do, I did not count the Honor Rising show that I talked about because that's technically for next week.
Oh,
so,
for sure.
Just in case somebody was like, well, where's the Ishii, or why is Ishii not being talked about or whatever in here?
Definitely. And you'll probably get him in the rankings next week. Kushida gets 3 points from us this week, Sean.
I
Why?
disagree. I think Kushida's match was much better than the 5-way on Raw, and that title is more important than the IC title that gets switched around all the time. But that's just me.
Yeah. But and once again, me and Paul, I think we kind of thought that the IC title was, I guess, a little important here, but I get you, and I get your point, so. But, Paul, Kevin Owens did get our 4 points this week.
He sure did. I tended to enjoy the Kevin Owens match more, I think. Not to say that Kushida and Bushi didn't have a bad match, just I think I enjoyed Kevin Owens more overall. Plus, he wins the title, Kushida retains, if you want to put more importance on winning a title versus retaining. But at any rate, Kevin Owens certainly deserves 4 points. If anything, because he hasn't made it on our list this whole year, guys, and that's a travesty that we can't have.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Let's get him these high points more often. Kenny Omega gets the 5-pointer. That's right. He's the top dog this week and our superstar of the week. But Sean, tell us why.
Well, he had something I did not talk. I meant for us to talk about this before, but Dave Meltzer called this a transcendent moment in wrestling. I don't know about all that, but he compared this to like a Steamboat Flair and all this kind of, those moments that like you're gonna remember when a star gets made. Austin, Bret Hart, all that kind of stuff. It is a big moment for New Japan, a big moment for Omega if it leads to him being a main event guy. You're going to point back to this. But that match with Tanahashi was fantastic. Just great work by both men, both working body parts. Omega selling it awesomely, Tanahashi selling it awesomely, and just he gets the big win, and then he gets to party like a rock star and sing Teenage Dream. Who the hell's else is going to do that?
Nobody but Omega. That's who.
Oh man, I kind of love that. That's awesome. But no, that's great. And Kenny Omega is our superstar of the week, and thrilled for him. I think he's been on the list before, if I'm not wrong. So he's rising up the charts.
This is also Kenny Omega's first appearance on our list.
Oh wow, surprising! Wow. Well, at least he gets a high point system here. So it looks like our leaders are still the same, if I'm not wrong, right, from last week.
Yeah, Matt Hardy's still first with 10, and then after that it's Okada at 9, and then Shibata, Nakamura at 8, and the list goes on from there.
Okay, so fair enough. So, well, guys, this has been a great show. Just want to remind everybody, don't forget this Sunday night we are going to have a post Fast Lane show. You don't want to miss it. We're not only going to talk about Fast Lane, but we're also going to talk some New Japan along with Ring of Honor since they're doing shows together. We talked about Honor Rising. We'll talk a little bit more about it, next Sunday night. So you don't want to miss that show. Plus, you don't want to miss next week's episode of W2M. It is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get into a lot of more interesting topics. So you don't want to miss that show next
we'll officially
Friday.
be on the final countdown to WrestleMania 32. I'll talk about the first, Lionsgate show. That'll be that Thursday morning. And, of course, all the other stuff that we normally cover.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of great stuff to check out. And, also, we want to let everybody know if you really want some other good content this week while you wait for us to get here, and maybe you're saying, man, Sunday can't come fast enough. I need something else to listen to. You need to go subscribe to the W2M Network if you're not already subscribed. It has got lots of shows that are worth your time. A bunch of great shows that we personally enjoy. We listen to these shows, so that's why they're on this network, and we want to give them all the availability to you and for you to go check out. So the easiest way for you to be a part of that is just to subscribe. It'll be on your player, on demand, whenever you want it. So you need to go do that if you haven't already. And of course, do us a favor, go rate and review us. We need your help here. And it's not just because we want to just, be fancy pants or anything. It helps the show. It helps the viewership. It helps other people find the show. And when that happens, it helps your community grow and for you to be able to talk about wrestling and other topics with people that are like-minded with you. So this doesn't just help us. It helps you as well. And we hope you understand that. So go check out the Facebook group, Wrestling to the Max. That's really important because of the fact that we give you all the updated information, all the news that happens during the week. We report it right there. You don't have to worry about jumping to a bunch of other places. Usually we have something right there for you to read and enjoy. And, of course, we got some other stuff going on. But, Sean, is there anything else you'd like to plug before we move on and get out of here?
Well, if you're a Chargers or Chiefs fan, we did our last part of the AFC West yesterday, going over those teams and their off-season needs. Had a fantastic guest for the Chargers that, even though, she had me on the line for 25 minutes, man, she was on fire and passionate about her team. She is going to leave a big impression on anybody else that shows up to do that for us. Maybe doing the co-op multi tomorrow before work. If not, it's probably going to have to be just we missed it this week and go on to next week. And Running Wild Podcast already out there too, doing their Fast Lane predictions. And yeah, I'm talking to somebody that we normally plug on here. He apparently did not do a podcast this week. Maybe coming to the WTM Network too. So, hopefully we can add him, and we'll have almost all of our shows that we normally plug on the network already.
Yeah, that'd be great. And, we really enjoy, every show we put on here. Like, once again, we don't just throw shows on here. We don't just, hey, you want to do this? Okay, we're putting you on. No. We definitely have a screening process. We definitely have to all, pretty much part enjoy those shows. And it's definitely worth your time to go check out. So. But besides that, guys, we hope you have a great weekend. We hope Fastlane is a blast for you to get a chance to check out, have your parties, do whatever you want to do. And we'll see you guys Sunday night. And of course, we want to let you know, not only are we brought to you by the W2M Network, but we're brought to you by 411mania.com and lastwordonsports.com, a great site that you need to go check out for all your sports information and news. And we are right there for you to go check out. We appreciate their partnership and everything that they do for us.
Of course, go check out that round table that I help put together on 411 once a month. We're not on it this month, but I did put it together for everybody else, so you can go read, Wyatt or Justin Watcher or whoever, give their thoughts, and I'll be around on Sunday doing my SmackDown 4 hours and whatever else is going on there.
Well, there you go, guys. Plenty of content. You can't say you're bored. We got plenty of stuff coming your way. So, besides that, we are going to get out of here. But we always want you to remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
Later.